And brought to you live via St. Louis, Missouri, this is Bombers Game Mic. I'm Paul D, and right now I've been dealing with some technical issues, unfortunately on my side, which has necessitated moving over and creating a new stream. So right now, I'm going out here and looking to get this thing shared out and have it all out for you. I know. Stand by. Okay. We are here awaiting the final toss here. My apologies, everybody. A technical mishap that I still don't fully understand transpired. Needless to say, I'm a little aggro at the moment, but stepping into the box is Pete Armstrong, and here's the pitch. A ball up and away from Kyle Leahy, and the count is now 1 and no strike to PCA. Thank you all so much for getting on in here now. I apologize for the inconvenience. Foul down the first base side, now to play, and the count is 1-1. So I put up a new link that I made as a community post that takes everybody to the new stream link. Here's the 1-1. Strike, inside corner above the knees on a slider. The count is now 1 and 2 strikes. So hopefully everybody who was involved and, looking around and whatnot is able to continue doing so. Here's the 1-2. Check swing on the slider, down and in. Did he go around? Yes, says Blue down the third baseline for the first out of the inning. So hopefully you guys are able to come in here, figure out what's going on. This is the new location of it. Once again, it was some kind of technical mishap that I still don't fully understand, but I'm no less angry and frustrated by it. So if you're able to help your fellow viewers get to the new stream link, I would appreciate your help immensely. Here's the first pitch to Horner. Strike, slider, outside corner, thigh high to the right-handed hitting Nico Horner, who's hitting .250 with 4 home runs, 32 RBIs, a .696 OPS so far on this campaign. Coming set from the full winds, Leahy. Here's the 0-1. Hit to the right side, fielded on a couple of hops by JJ. He throws to first in time for the second out of the inning. Yes, please do like the new stream. I would very much appreciate that. Hopefully people begin finding the new link here. As I mentioned before, I don't know what happened there. I was trying to go live a little after 6 o'clock, and then nothing was properly happening. Now, here's a left-handed first baseman, Michael Bush, .238, 6 home runs, 33 RBIs. Nobody on, 2 out. Here's the first pitch to Bush. Popped on out there to left center field. Underneath it, there is a left fielder, Torres. He makes the catch for the third and final out of the inning. So, after 1/2 inning of play, it is the Chicago Cubs nothing and the St. Louis Cardinals coming to bat. I'm Paul D, and this is Bombers Game Mic. So, for the most part, I do have a pretty decent grasp on technology, all told. Something that has helped me build this setup over many years now. But every once in a while, just something stupid and inexplicable occurs technologically. I want to thank my wife for helping me try to keep my head cool there. But here we are, everybody. And of course, if you're just joining me here, which you pretty much are, and it was a very quick top of the first inning there for Kyle Leahy, make yourself known in the Bombers Game Mic roll call. Let me know where you're watching or listening from tonight. This right now is Saturday Night Baseball in North America, celebrating and enjoying one of the finest rivalries, not in all of baseball, but in the history of American sport. The best sport. Okay, everybody, let yourself be known. I will start from the beginning. The Fire Phoenix is in the house, so the Pacific Northwest chiming in. Alan Windnetch. No rain. Good evening. Yeah, luckily it just passed through the area about 30 minutes ahead of game time. And then when I saw some of the pregame stuff, the tarp was off the field. They were off and going. Let's do it again. You got that right, Fire Phoenix. Justin Beasley. Hello, chat. Good evening, Paul. Good afternoon. Good evening to you, Justin Beasley. Now, here comes J.J. Weatherholt for his first at-bat. And leading off for the Cardinals is, of course, J.J. Weatherholt playing second. Batting second at DH tonight, of course, is Ivan Herrera, followed by Alec Burleson batting third at first. Batting cleanup is the right fielder, Jordan Walker. We'll get to the rest in a moment. Starting is the right-handed pitcher for the Chicago Cubs, Ben Brown, who only joined this rotation for the first time back on the 8th of May. He's had 4 starts so far, and he's been really quite good. J.J. Weatherholt, he steps in the box. Here's the first pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball, 97 miles per hour, right down Broadway. And the count is now 0-1. And if you have any ability to get the attention of your fellow listeners and watchers for Game Mike, let them know that the new stream is up and going. Here's the pitch. Hit down out to left field. Underneath it is the left fielder. He squeezes it for the first out of the inning. So a quick first out here by J.J. Weatherholt, and here comes Ivan Herrera. Then, of course, batting fifth is the third baseman tonight, the lefty Nolan Gorman, followed by the 7-hole, the right-handed hitting shortstop Mason Wynn. Then, making his 2026 debut, not his Major League debut, but just this year, is the top catching prospect, the left-handed hitting Jimmy Crooks, followed by the left-handed Torres in left, and Victor Scott the second is batting ninth. Now here is Ivan Herrera. It's a righty-righty matchup. And here's the pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball inside corner above the knees to Herrera, and the count is now 0-1. Brown has himself a lively fastball, and with his improving command, he has become very good. Here's the 0-1. Strike, four-seam fastball outer third above the knees. The count is now 0-2. So Ivan Herrera is in the hole here to Ben Brown, who I'll talk more about briefly in the half inning. He comes set. And here's the 0-2. Chopped down the third baseline and out of play on a knuckle curve down and away, and the count remains 0-2. I hope everybody is doing well here tonight. My friend retired in Uganda is in the house. Good evening to you, too. Ben Brown, he comes set. Here's the 0-2. Swinging strike three. Down goes Herrera on some cheddar up and in for the second out of the inning. So Ben Brown, very lively, good control with that four-seam fastball. Has that rising action to it. We've seen this before, of course. Earlier this week with Jacob Mizorowski and, of course, Kyle Harrison. Coming set above the belt is Brown. Here's the first pitch to Burleson. Hit on out there to right field. And right there in front of the track is Suzuki. He makes the catch for the third and final out of the inning. So after one full inning of play, no score down in Busch Stadium, I'm Paul D. This is Saturday Night Redbird Baseball, and this is Bombers Game Mike. Okay, let's see what else is going on, y'all. All right. Just get going to just announce home Cardinal games. Oh, I call more than just home games. I want to see what Crooks can do. You and me both, Fire Phoenix. Zodiac C in the house as promised. Herrera got to lay off the high heat. Yeah. Roger Baseman, Tucson, Arizona has entered the chat. Thank you, Roger, for entering and piping up for the roll call. All right, Justin Beasley. Hey, did you guys see 3 players got ejected in the Rays game before the game even started? No, I didn't see that. I mean, I know that the Angels were ripping Tampa a new one, which, in my Yankee fandom is everything I can hope for all at once. They were up something like 8-3 late after a absolutely monstrous home run by Mike Trout, who's having a career resurgence at the moment. David Hodges here. Astros won 9-2. That's always interesting. Wilson B., also in Tucson. 2 Tucson Arizonas have entered the chat. That one got removed. Not by me. The Mike Trout resurgence is great to see. Yeah, it is. And if the Angels, given how bad they are this year, have even a remaining brain cell left in Artie Moreno's head, they will deal him at some point, hopefully, even though there is still some time and money left on that contract. Thank you all so much for being here and spending part of your Saturday evening with me. I see people are beginning to stream in here, all pun intended, with following the mishap on the original stream, which I still don't know what the heck happened. But, hey, I'm glad you guys are finding it. You're seeing the good stuff here, and we're underway. Kyle Leahy, if you're just coming in here, had a 1-2-3 top of the first inning. And here he pitches to Bregman. Hit on out there down the left field line. Fitzgerald's gone, and it is... We wait the call. A solo home run for Alex Bregman, and that will give the Cubs an early 1-0 lead. That thing was middle in. It looked like a four-seam fastball, about thigh high. Bregman turned on it, pulled it perfectly down the left field line for a solo home run. So that'll make it 1-0 Cubs here on Saturday night. Redbirds baseball in North America. However, the umpires are coming together to discuss this. The initial call appeared to be fair. I am questioning that myself, but let's see here on the replay. Let's see if we got something. Stand by. We'll know shortly. I think it was a foul ball, and not by much. I'm talking about inches foul ball. High up on the pole down left field. So they may be going to a instant replay review on it. Bregman's just standing at first base for reasons, because he has to stand somewhere. So right now we are all awaiting the official off-site review. Based on the instant replay that I saw and the angle that it was, the ball appeared in front of the foul ball in left as it goes by it right now, and it did not appear to make contact as it was crossing the plane, and it looks like it went just foul, but we're going to await the official word here in a moment. The home run is currently under review, so it'll either be 1-0 Cubs or an 0-1 count to Alex Bregman. We shall see. Ollie Marmol there is on camera with his usual expressionless face, maybe just a shadow of a smile. Missouri gaming in the house. And if you're just joining me here as we await the official review of instant replay, let's see what we got. It's a foul ball. It is a foul ball. So instead of a 1-0 Cubs lead, it is an 0-1 count to Alex Bregman. The key there is, especially when you have a good angle on it, like right there, is if you can see the ball in front of the foul pole and you're certain that it made no contact, it's a foul ball. If it disappears behind it, well, you know the other possibility. So it's an 0-1 count. Here's the 0-1. Hit on out there to right field. Chasing after is Walker. He fields on a couple of hops, and it is a long leadoff single here for Alex Bregman to start off the top of the second inning. So, and yes, absolutely, David Hodge, we do need to have a double play ball here. And also on the original stream, you were the first one to comment, so, and enter the chat. Actually, when I was looking at it, almost a good hour ahead of time. So I say cheers to you, my friend. Thank you for that. Bregman, he leads off first. Here's a lefty, Ian Happ, stepping off the rubber real quick is Leahy. He clearly has not gotten the sign that he wants from Crooks. And by the way, Jimmy Crooks is in the starting lineup tonight. He's batting seventh, and he is behind the plate. Here's the pitch. Just off the plate, a slider for a ball to the lefty Happ. Happ last night went deep in the first inning with a 2-out, 3-run home run in the top of the first. Bregman, he leads off first. Here's the pitch. Strike. Change up. Outside corner about thigh high. And the count is now 1-1. Yes, absolutely. Hopefully people can readjust and get themselves into the new stream. Here's the 1-1. Hit on right back up the middle. Throws to second, one, and they managed to just get him. It was a bad throw by Leahy. Mason Wynn managed to haul it in, get his foot on the bag to at least get Bregman at second for the force. Had it been a better throw, no doubt they would have turned the double play, but that is not what's happening here. And here's Ken Rosenthal, everybody's favorite dugout reporter in baseball that's only ever been seen in a bow tie. Rumor is he was born in one. Come in set is Leahy. And here's the righty Suzuki, and here's the pitch. Slider down and away for a ball. The count is 1-0. Mason showing off that glove. Yeah, absolutely. So, Ian Happ, he leads off first. He reached on the fielder's choice there. Here is the 1-0. Foul down the first base side, now to play on a slider away, and the count is 1-1. The stream kept giving me error when I tried to join the first one a few times. I don't even know what happened there myself, but my apologies all the same. It's my stream, my responsibility, but sometimes even proven technologies will flub. From the stretches, Leahy. Here's the 1-1. Strike, sinker, inside corner below the belt, and the count's 1-2. Now, you definitely don't want to put a sinker right below the belt. That's never a good thing, regardless of velocity. So if Leahy wants to be effective with that thing, he's got to keep it down in the zone, help induce some kind of ground ball. He throws over to first. Back in time is Happ. The count remains 1-2. Maybe Rosenthal borrowed his suit from a Zaylock. Yeah, maybe. Maybe they go to the same tailor. I don't know. Coming set is Leahy. Here's the 1-2. A sweeper down and away for a ball to the righty Suzuki. The count is 2-2. Hopefully everybody is all pumped up and ready to be here for some Saturday night Redbird baseball. Baseball night in North America. Here's the 2-2. Swinging strike 3. Down goes Suzuki for the second out of the inning. So Leahy recovering. Getting a little bit of luck with that ball off the bat of Alec Bregman going foul. And then some very fine glove work there by Mason Wynn to make sure the throw from Leahy to get the force at second didn't go into center field. And so Ian Happ, he's still at first. 2 out here in the top of the second inning. Now here is Ballesteros. And the count is 0-1. Moises Ballesteros is hitting .232, 6 home runs, 20 RBIs through 47 games. 0-1 count, righty-lefty matchup with the lefty hitting Ballesteros. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike on a changeup down and away the left-hander. Faded down and away. Had some good arm side action on the part of Leahy, throwing that classic circle change. And that will put Leahy ahead in the count, 0-2 to Ballesteros. Ballesteros. Coming sets Leahy at the Birds. Here's the 0-2. Check swing. Did he go around? Yes, says the home plate umpire. For the third and final out of the inning. So, no runs, 1 hit, no walks, 1 left on. We head to the bottom of the second inning. There's no score down on the banks, the western banks of the mighty Mississippi at Busch Stadium here tonight. No score. I'm Paul D. And if you're just joining us here, once again, I apologize for the flub technologically when it came to the initial stream. I don't know if it was a YouTube thing or an OBS thing or a me thing, but I had to recreate it all over again, unfortunately. So hopefully everybody that was waiting around and anticipating the beginning of the action here on Game Mic, and thank you all so much for joining me, have now been able to recover and do it. I put up a link in a community post there just so people could see it if they were to look or if it caught them in their stream somewhere. So everybody, it's good to see you all here tonight. All right. That was okay. So how is everybody tonight? Let me know. What are you doing? Are you just hanging out here with Game Mike and yours truly and everybody else here in the Cardinal fam? Our slice of Cardinal Nation? Let me know how you're feeling. The Brewers lost today. Thank you so much. Spice. And we await. Write it out. And we await the bottom of the second inning. So, given how everything was gone down here, I didn't change them, but I did change the orientation of them. Yeah, I do that every few days, almost regardless of outcome. You can kind of see the Union Jack over here at the far left. Over to the far right now is the Polish embassy and consular flag that, of course, the London government, rather the Polish government in exile located in London flew at their outpost in London throughout the war. Then, what you can see right there is the Free French flag with the Cross of Lorraine. Here's the first pitch to Jordan Walker. Hit on out there to shallow right field. Underneath it is Nico Horner for the first out of the inning. One pitch, one out there to Jordan Walker. Yeah, so you have the Free French flag there. Old Glory never moves. That stays in place. And, of course, here is the Canadian Naval Ensign here right behind me, the red with the Union Jack up there in the corner, which, of course, was something of the default Canadian flag before they adopted the proper Maple Leaf flag in 1965. Now, here's Nolan Gorman, and here's the first pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball, outer third thigh high, and the count is 0-1. Nolan Gorman, 215, 6 home runs, 25 RBIs. And Spice Muffins, hello again. Thank you so much for joining the stream. I'm sorry I missed you up in there. Foul backing out of play off the bat of Gorman. The count is now 0-2. Getting everything under control here now. Sometimes these things are hectic. Coming set is Brown. Here's the 0-2 to Gorman. Up and away, four-seam fastball well to the zone, 97 miles per hour. And the count is 1-2 strikes. Coming set is Brown. Here's the 1-2. Knuckle curve in the dirt. Bisects the plate, but in the dirt. The count is 2-2. So Brown, the righty here, only joined the rotation this year, last time on May 8th. Through 4 starts, 19 innings pitch, a 1.89 ERA, a 0.95 whip, and opponents are hitting 171 against him. Here's the pitch. Called strike 3. Down in the observatory goes Gorman for the second out of the inning. Second called strikeout here for Brown. And something else that's interesting about Brown, I believe he's about 27. But like a lot of pitchers on the younger side today, even starting pitchers, a lot of them forego the windup altogether and just pitch out of the stretch, much like a reliever would. Because when a runner reaches base, they don't really have to appreciably change their mechanics. Now, here's Mason Wynn for his first at-bat. He's hitting .236 tonight. Here's the pitch. Inside for a ball, a sinker. The count is 1-0. Mason Wynn, .236, 1 home run, 18 ribeyes, and a 631 OPS through 48 games. Here's the 1-0. Strike, knuckle curve, outside corner, about knee high, and the count is now 1 ball and 1 strike. Yes, absolutely. Please leave a like if you haven't done so yet. Coming set above the belt is Brown. Here's the 1-1. Strike, knuckle curve, once again outside corner, knee high. Pretty much replicated the previous pitch. And the count is now 1-2 strikes. And on deck here, assuming Mason Wynn comes aboard, is the left-handed hitting catcher Jimmy Crooks, making his 2026 debut with the big club. Coming set is Brown. He deals. Chopped out there to the left side, fielded by Bregman on a hop. Throws to first, just gets Mason Wynn for the third and final out of the inning. We head to the top of the third inning. No runs, no hits, no walks, nobody left on. It's all tied at 0 down at Busch Stadium tonight. I'm Paul D. And if you're enjoying the stream here, a bit of this Saturday evening Redbird baseball, please leave a like. It helps a growing channel out immensely. And if you like it a little bit more than that and you're new here or you're returning here and you haven't done so, please hit subscribe. Even include the notification bell. That way you can know what's going down 30 minutes before the play-by-play stream starts. And with all that said, me here, you there, and this is Bombers Game Mic. Let's look at the chat. Okay. Alrighty. I still need more from Mason. Well, right now, offensively, there's no question about it. He's been having a rough stretch. Ever since he missed that game the week before this past one against the Pirates, he hasn't been quite right. His defense has been generally still good. A lot of range, good arm. But offensively, he has not left, he's left much to be desired, unfortunately. Now, I'm sending the link to all of my Cards friends. Well, thank you so much, Robert Wright. It's really appreciated. Yeah, I mean, with the way things are at the moment, this is a national game on Fox 2 locally. But overall, a lot of Cardinal fans are not able to get the majority of the games that the Cardinals are playing without 3 or 4 different subscriptions to be able to follow them day in and day out. And if you think they would dig the way I call a game, and they'll know exactly where to find me here on YouTube, by all means, please do share it with them. This is obviously a growing channel, but it's also something of a necessity for Cardinal fans at the moment. Whether you're here in the local market or you're further afield. Obviously, we have my retired friend from Uganda, a perfect example of an international watcher now. We've had people that are expats living in the Philippines join us previously. All right, here's the top of the third inning. They're having a brief word with Craig Counsell, is Ken Rosenthal. Leading off is the catcher Amaya, followed by Swanson, the shortstop. It's a righty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Strike, outside corner, a sharp slider on the outer third above the knees. The count is 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Hit on out there to shallow left field. Underneath it is Mason Wynn. He picks it on up for the first out of the inning. So basically, like a low floppy fly ball there off of the bat of Amaya. That's the first out of the inning. Mason Wynn hauled it in there, in shallow left field with great ease, thankfully. And now here is the righty hitting shortstop, Dansby Swanson. He's hitting 188, 7 home runs, 27 ribeyes on the campaign. Righty-righty matchup. Here's the first pitch from Leahy. Strike, curveball, outside corner, thigh high. The count is 0-1. 22 pitches in the third. Yes, indeed. Here's the 0-1. Half swing, got a little piece of that one, did Swanson, went straight back, and the count is now 0 balls and 2 strikes. The Cubs pitcher looks like Jim Bob Walton from the Waltons. I haven't seen an episode of the Waltons since I was a kid, well into rerun syndication at that point, certainly. Here's the 0-2. Hit on up there to shallow right field. Underneath it is Burleson. He makes the grab in foul territory for the second out of the inning. Alec Burleson really tracked that one down there quite impressively, almost like a wide receiver trying to haul in a Hail Mary from 80 yards out. So nobody on, 2 out here, top of the 3rd inning. No score at Busch Stadium here. It's the Cubs and the Cardinals here on Saturday night on Bombers Game Mike, turning into a lovely evening. Gorman, he's playing even with the bag down at 3rd. Infield defense slightly shaded towards right. Here's the pitch. Just outside to PCA, a little bit above the knees. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the 1st. The count is now 1 ball and no strikes. Leahy deals. Hit to the right side and in for a base hit. Fielding the ball on a couple of hops there is Jordan Walker. So a 2-out single by PCA. And that'll bring up the next at-bat by way of the second baseman, Nico Horner. Good evening, everybody. What's going on, Paul D? Just happy I have the stream now set up and running properly and that we're well underway. How are you doing, Joe Breeden? PCA, he leads off first. Here's the pitch from Leahy. Strike, sinker right down Broadway, about thigh high. Count is 0-1. Nico Horner, he's 0 for 1 with a ground out back in the 1st. PCA, he leads off first. Looking in for the sign is Leahy. He comes set at the Birds from the stretch. Here's the 0-1. Curveball down and away, well out of zone. Floats over the lefty batter's box. The count's 1-1. They think he's the next coming of Willie Mays. Well, that's a heck of a comparison. Coming set at the Birds is Leahy. Here's the 1-1. Sweeper down and away for a ball, clear out of the zone. The count is 2-1 to Nico Horner. PCA is on first following a 2-out single. Horner's trying to string something together here. Leahy, he comes set at the stretch at the Birds. Here's the 2-1. Hit down the first base side now to play on a four-seam fastball on the inner 3rd, and the count is 2-2. Chicago does. I see. Chicago drools over Armstrong. Yeah, he really has become, their golden child, to use a term. PCA leads off first. Coming set at the Birds is Leahy. He holds. He throws over to first. Back in time with the head first slide is Pete Crow Armstrong. So I know the week before this most recent one, he had a terrible game defensively at Wrigley Field against the Brewers. He made several really bizarre errors, to say the least. Coming set is Leahy. Here's the 2-2. Foul down the first base side, now to play on a changeup down and away to the righty Horner. The count remains 2-2. Crow all right. Yeah, I think that about sums up my feelings on him as well. You've seen him argue with fans? Man, you got to be able to ignore these folks sometimes, No arguing with the folks in the stands. Here's the 2-2. Foul down the first base side, now to play. Changeup down the way. The count's still 2-2. Not a big Armstrong fan. 105 people. Hit that like button, everybody. Yes, absolutely. If you're enjoying the stream, by all means, please do leave a like. It helps the growing channel out a lot. Coming set from the stretches, Leahy. He's set at the Birds. Here's the 2-2. Head on out there down the left field line and slicing foul. And the count is still 2 balls and 2 strikes. There are vids of it. He jumped up, grabbed wall, and arguing with fan. Still, you can't argue with the fans. You'll never win. Coming sets Leahy. He's holding, and he throws over to first. PCA back in time. Must have pushed his button. Yeah, definitely. Number 15, where's my boy Velasquez? They're using him in a platoon way. He's a righty. He'll face lefty hitting mostly. Here's the 2-2. Hit to the left side. Fielded there deep in the hole by Gorman. And he throws to second, and he is punched out with the force. But right now, PCA is arguing that there needs to be a replay review on that. So everybody sit tight. Let me see what the replay says. Unfortunately, it looks like PCA is right there. So Gorman managed to get the ball almost halfway between second and third. Went the short way to second. Crow Armstrong, of course, was going on contact with 2 outs and less than a full count. And it most certainly looks like he beat him there, despite the fact the home plate umpire did punch him out. And frankly, it doesn't look close. But there is a challenge, so we're going to await the outcome of that challenge. Justin Beasley. I noticed you put a big comment, then removed it, so I didn't get a chance to read it, so. Looking at the replay here once again, yeah, it looks like P. Crow Armstrong beat the throw to first by quite a lot, actually. So it's amazing. Home plate umpires, even sometimes when they're right on top of it, will just blow a call in a huge way, and you wonder how it ever happened. As expected, the call is overturned. Runners on first and second with 2 out here in the top of the third inning. And here comes Michael Bush, the left-hand hitting first baseman, the 3-hitter tonight for the Northsiders. Here's the first pitch. Curveball down and in for a ball. The count is 1-0. Paul, I just realized that you've only had the stream going for 2 months. But I will tell you, it seems as if you've been doing it a lot longer, so congratulations and keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much, Justin Beasley. I'll comment more on that in a moment because it's kind of interesting. Here's a 1-0. Hit on out there to left field. Going back in front of the track is Brian Torres. He's in front of the wall. He makes the catch for the third and final out of the inning. Leahy gets in and out of trouble. And we head to the bottom of the third inning. There is no score down at Busch Stadium on the western banks of the mighty Mississippi. I'm Paul D., and this is Bombers Game Mike. Yeah, this channel was created originally, I believe, on March 18th of this year. And all I can say is thank you so much for your very kind words. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you, Justin Beasley, and everybody else who's joining me here right now. We seem to be forming a community here at Game Mike. You guys are becoming familiar with each other, building relationships here, knowing each other through the medium of Game Mike and Cardinal baseball. And I mean, how awesome is that? I think it's great. So, got 3 trees today, hopefully to plant tomorrow. Cumin, Dixon, Missouri is in the house. Good to see you, Q-Man. Paul D is the place to be, Missouri Gaming. Praise from Caesar. All right. Hi, I'm a new follower. California Cardinals fans. Go Birds. Joe Bierod. I apologize on the pronunciation. It's wonderful to have you aboard, and I hope you enjoy your time here. I'm glad you subscribed, and I thank you for doing so. And I'm glad you're enjoying the call here. Truth, Missouri. Cards have fans all over. Oh, yeah. Little baseball history, Paul, my friend retired in Uganda. The only time in history where both teams had a no-hitter after the 9th inning between the Cubs and the Reds. Those two have played a lot of games against each other, so I'm not surprised to hear that. Biloxi again. Oh, boy. Scott Reed, Biloxi, in the house. Thank you for making yourself known in the Game Mike roll call. So we await the bottom of the third inning. Brown there, he's out for his third frame of work. Now, here's the first at-bat from the left-handed hitting catcher, Jimmy Crooks. Hits left-handed, throws with his right. And here's the first pitch to Crooks. Strike, four-seam fastball outside corner knee high. Down at Triple-A this year through 39 games, 262, 13 home runs, 29 RBIs, a 979 OPS. He was tearing up the P-patch. Here's the 0-1. Knuckle curve down and in. The count is 1-1. St. Louis area is a great place to be from. I understand completely. My wife would agree. Here's the 1-1. Off the plate, four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour. The count is 2-1. And naturally, I am quite fond of who the area has produced in the case of my wife. Coming set is Brown, righty-lefty matchup. Here's the 2-1. Strike, four-seam fastball, outer third, knee high. That evens up the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. I missed Farmer's Market in Soulard. I actually had my marriage done in the Soulard neighborhood. Was it the 9th Street Abbey? 9th Street Abbey. Coming sets Brown. Here's the pitch. Chop foul over towards the Cards on deck circle. The count remains 2-2. Oh, you're very, very welcome, Jobirod. Coming set is the righty Brown. Here's the 2-2. Swinging strike 3 on the knuckle curve, down and in for the first out of the inning. So unfortunately, in his first 2026 at-bat here, Jimmy Crooks go down swinging. But here's the thing. He did get a cup of coffee last year with the Cardinals late in the year. Now here is a left-handed hitting Brian Torres with 1 out, nobody on. However, I think this is going to be the first time he's going to get a sustained look here in the major leagues. Coming set, it's Brown. Here's the first pitch to Torres. Chop foul down the first baseline and out of play. Four-seam fastball outside corner, 97 miles per hour. The count is 0-1. And if he plays well, the guy that's on the outside looking in is going to be Pedro Pajes. Because right now they're carrying 3 catchers, and that's not a long-term solution for any well-built 26-man roster. Coming set above the belt is Brown. He always pitches from the stretch. Here's the 0-1. Strike, four-seam fastball, outer third above the knees. The count is 0-2 to Torres. Really? Wow, that's great. Yeah, it was great. It was one of the most important and certainly best days of my life. Here's the 0-2. Foul hit down the third baseline. Coming in towards the line is the left fielder right up against the wall. He makes the catch for the second out of the inning. So Torres flies out with a put-out 7, if you're keeping score, for you amazing baseball nerds in the audience. And there are 2 outs, nobody on. Ben Brown so far, 7 pitches in the first, 10 in the second, 9 in the third. Very economical. 26 overall. Thank you, Q-Man. Here's the first pitch to Vic Scott. Hit on out there to right field. Right underneath it is Suzuki in front of the track. He squeezes it for the third out of the inning. No runs, no hits, no walks, nobody left on. We head to the top of the 4th inning. There is no score down at Busch Stadium tonight. I'm Paul D., and if you're joining me for the first time, I'm your broadcaster here for Game Mike on YouTube. This channel has become unequivocally a St. Louis Cardinal play-by-play live stream channel. And if you like what I'm doing, please do leave a like. It helps a growing channel out a lot, more than I can emphasize. And if you want to see more of it going forward, please do hit subscribe. We'd love to have you aboard. Join our slice of Redbird Nation. And with that in mind, me here, you there, and this is Bombers Game Mike. Choo-choo. Cards fans from Valley Park, Missouri, living in Pontiac, Illinois. Love your play-by-play, Bomber. Grew up with a good friend named Bomber. He was a huge Cards fan, too. May he rest in peace. Yes, he may rest in peace. And, of course, you're free to call me Bomber if you wish. But by all means, you can always just call me Paul or Paul D. We're all friends here, by all means. But it's your choice. But usually I choose Paul or Paul D. But I'll take Bomber most of the time, you know. Not when I'm going through TSA, preferably. All right. Yes, absolutely, Choo-Choo. Great to have you here. The welcoming committee is out for Game Mike. And that's something that really makes me so happy, is you guys are just so classy. I mean, really. Positive, thoughtful, actually very thoughtful, extremely knowledgeable. it's a pleasure to do this in so many ways. Sounds like a cool baseball nickname. Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? I'm a Pirates fan, but I need St. Louis and Brewers and Cubs to lose because Pirates beat the Twins. Well, unfortunately, you can only get 2 out of 3, at least tonight. Ken Rosenthal is talking to Ollie Marmol for an in-game interview that will undoubtedly reveal nothing. Here's the first pitch from Leahy. Strike, outside corner at the knees to the right-handed hitter. And the count is 0-1. Alex Bregman, of course, he singled back in his first at-bat, nearly had a solo home run, but it went foul. Here's the pitch. Slider down and away, floated over the lefty batter's box, counts 1-1. And indeed, there is a tarps off contingent at Busch Stadium tonight. They just keep coming. Here's the pitch. Head on out there to left field. Coming in is Torres. He's underneath it for the first out of the inning. So, Alex Bregman, he's now 1 for 2. It would be super duper awesome if we could get to 100 likes, guys. Absolutely, Justin Beasley. Like I said, I take every one of those very seriously and appreciate them immensely. Nothing gets taken for granted here. YouTube is a very difficult medium by which to grow, and anything like that's really appreciated. Now, here's the first pitch to Ian Happ. Curveball down and in for a ball. The count is 1-0. Ian Happ, he's 0 for 1. Nobody on with 1 out. From the full wind is Leahy. He deals. Inside, four-seam fastball, 95 miles per hour. The count is 2-0. So, yeah, it is one of those nights. From the full wind, here's the 2-0. Chop fouled over to the Cards on deck circle off the bat of Happ. And the count is 2-1. Out of curiosity, just, given the aesthetic here on Game Mike, obviously this is not a green screen, it's very real. Are there any World War II historians or history buffs in the audience? Change up just off the plate for a ball. The count goes to 3-1. 3-1 count to the lefty Ian Happ. Righty-lefty matchup. From the full wind is Leahy. Here's the 3-1. Strike, change up, inside corner, thigh high. Count is 3-2. That is not where you want to put a changeup to a left-handed hitter. That's some dangerous territory. It's a full count, nobody out. 1 out, nobody on. Here's the pitch. Hit to the right side and in for a base hit. Fielding it on a hop is Walker. So 1 out single there by Ian Happ. And that'll bring up the right fielder, the right-handed hitting Suzuki with a runner on and 1 out. We need Busch, Happ, and Suzuki quiet tonight. Absolutely. You can throw Bregman in there, too. Hey, from Vermont, time to hit the like button. Ronald Lyle in the house. Vermont is now entered the chat. Here's the first pitch to Suzuki. Strike, sinker, inside corner above the knees to the right-handed hitting Saya Suzuki, who's 0 for 1 with a strikeout back in the second. Happ, he leads off first. 1 out here in the top of the 4th inning. There's no score at Busch Stadium. Coming set at the Birds is Leahy. He deals. High and away with the sweeper there. It counts 1-1. Happ has always been a Cardinal killer. Yeah, in a prolific fashion at that. Looking in for the sign is Leahy. He comes to the stretch, sets at the Bird. Here's the 1-1. Curveball up and in for a ball. Getting out of the way of that one is Suzuki. The count's 2-1. Saya Suzuki, 267, 94 home runs, 315 RBIs. Now in the middle of his 5th season. Quite respectable numbers, no doubt. Common sense Leahy. Here's the 2-1. Fouled straight back on a slider up and in off the handle there of Suzuki. The count's now 2-2. Tried to make Suzuki a bobblehead. Interesting. No, there is not a World War II question. I'm just curious if there are any World War II historians or those who have a strong interest in World War II history here in attendance. Here's the pitch. Hit on up there in the middle, fielded by J.J. Shove throws to first, gets the force, so Happ is out at second, and Suzuki will reach first on the fielder's choice. Yeah, no, it's just more of a general exploration. Who present at the moment is either a World War II historian or is a World War II history buff or strong history, or however you want to put it. Now, here is the lefty Baestros. 51 pitches so far for Leahy. Coming set at the Birds. Here's the pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball, outer third at the knees, 95 miles per hour. Moises Baestros, 0 for 1 with a strikeout back in the second. I'll get to you in just a moment, Q-Man. Righty-lefty matchup. Suzuki, he leads off first after reaching on the fielder's choice. Here's the 0-1. Check swing on the curveball down and in. Did he go around? Yes, says the home plate umpire. And the count is now 0-2. So Leahy is ahead in the count, 0-2 to the lefty hitting Baestros. And on that check swing, had he made contact, it certainly would have been double. Moises Baestros, 0-91, 1 home run, 4 RBIs in the month of May. Coming set at the Birds and the stretches, Leahy. Here's the 0-2. Sweeper down and in the dirt, blocked there by Crooks. Now, something that's interesting to know here about Jimmy Crooks is he's very well regarded in terms of his defensive prowess. You know, anchoring down a rotation, good arm, good blocking, the whole thing. And he's a left-handed bat with power who just needs to continue to get more patient as time goes on. Here's the 1-2. Foul tip on the curveball in the outside corner, so Baestros there, he's staying alive. The count's 1-2. Congrats on 350 subscribers. Let's get you to 500 ASAP. Trisk, I didn't realize I just made 350. Thank you so much for letting me know. You have been one of my biggest boosters here. Thank you so much, Trisk. Coming set at the Birds is Leahy. Here's the 1-2. Well upstairs. Four-seam fastball, 93 miles per hour, about over helmet high, albeit right down the middle. And the count's 2-2. On deck is the catcher Amaya. Coming set at the Birds is Leahy. Here's the 2-2. Foul down the third base line, out of play on the changeup. Count remains 2-2. Okay, so I know Q-Man had something here for me. I know a little about World War II. My old neighbor was General Patton's Jeep driver once. Interviewed General Bradley for a history project. He got to interview Omar Bradley for a history project? Man, what I wouldn't give to have been in that room. Here's a 2-2. Hit to the right side and past a diving Burleson into right field for a base hit. Turning second and going to third is Suzuki. So the Cubs now have runners on first and third with 2 out here in the top of the 4th inning. And now here comes the righty hitting shortstop, Swanson. Just got past the glove there of Burleson. And, of course, naturally, Suzuki was going on contact with 2 out. Okay. Roger Baseman. Grandfather died in France. Really? Oh, my God. Made me a World War II guy. Okay, we'll get back to the rest there in a moment. I'm actually very curious about that. Here's the first pitch to, Amaya. Up and in for a ball. Amaya, he's 0 for 1 with a lineout back in the third. So, Miguel Amaya, the catcher, is up, not the shortstop. Swanson, he is on deck. Runners on first and third. 1-0 counts. 2 out, top of the 4th inning. No score. Here's the pitch. And he plunks Amaya with a slider. Looks like up on the arm. And that will load the bases with 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning. Grandfather died in France. Made me a World War II guy. USD to build military, used to build military armor in miniature for money. Oh, really? Always been an aircraft freak. I like aircraft, definitely. And I'm also a big fan of naval architecture, though I can't pretend to have some sort of specialization on that. Now with the bases loaded, here comes the right-handed hitting shortstop, Dansby Swanson. The pond is full of ducks. Foul down the first base side and out of play on the four-seam fastball up and away. 93 miles per hour. The count's 0-1. Hit the friggin' 8th place hitter. Yeah, you got that right, Zodiac. See, that is exactly what happens. The pond is full of ducks. Come and set Leahy. Here's the 0-1. Just missed with a slider off the plate and away, and the count's now 1-1. Coach Sterling, ouch. Yeah, I'm sure it didn't feel pleasant. Come and set at the Birds is the righty Leahy, righty-righty matchup. Here's the 1-1. Swinging strike on the sweeper up and away. Swung right underneath that one, did Swanson. And Leahy is now one strike away from getting out of this jam of his own creation. Do not let Dansby beat us. I am certain he will do everything possible to avoid it. He comes set at the Birds. Here's the 1-2. Chop foul behind the plate, rolls over to the Cubs on deck circle. Gary York, go Brewers. Okay, you're welcome here. You're welcome here. You can show it off. I'm cool with people expressing their feelings on what their teams are so long as they keep it clean, which you have, and I appreciate that. Come and set is Leahy. Here's the 1-2 to Swanson. Swinging strike 3. Down goes Swanson for the third and final out of the inning. In and out of trouble goes Kyle Leahy, and we go to the bottom of the fourth inning. There is still no score here on Saturday night. Redbird baseball in North America. I'm Paul D. And if you're enjoying my stream and my play-by-play call of the game, please do leave a like. It helps a growing channel out a lot. It's free if that's any inducement. And you'll have my eternal gratitude, no doubt. And if you want to come back and see more of it in the future, please hit subscribe with the notification bell. If you got push notifications on from YouTube, you'll know 30 minutes ahead of time before this stream goes live. I am now calling every game here. And with that in mind, me here, you there, and this is Bombers Game Mic. 135 in the chat, 45 likes. Smash that like button. Yes, Trisk, pump them up. Thank you so much. So, Kyle Leahy definitely got himself out of a jam there. You know, speaking of calling every game, so a number of you may have first discovered me when I first started doing Cardinal games quite impromptu because I was doing Yankee games prior to that. And I was doing it audio only, and it didn't seem to be an issue. I do have to travel sometimes once or twice a month. It takes me out of town. However, when that does happen, just take this as a general programming note, something to think about, is I'll still make sure to get you the game in audio-only form. The only difference will be you won't be seeing this 15 out of 10 handsome face on screen for a few days under those circumstances. I'm not going anywhere for the next 2 weeks anyway, but I figure it's something worth mentioning. All right. Come on, spread the news. Let's get Paul to 500 so he can start his journey to 1,000 and perks. Thank you so much, Trisk. Yes, everybody, thank you so much for spending part of your Saturday evening here with me. We await the bottom of the fourth inning. No score out at Busch Stadium. Once again, to the top of the lineup, we got Weatherholt, followed by Herrera at DH, and then Burleson in the 3-hole. Now, here's the first pitch to Weatherholt. Strike swung right over the knuckle curve, down and in. It was almost a half swing, and the count is 0-1. That is still cool. Audio, thanks for the heads up. You got it, Trisk. Common set is Brown. Here's the 0-1. A knuckle curve down and in for a ball. The count's 1-1. Good attendance at game today. Yeah, it seems to be filling out nicely. J.J. Weatherholt, he's 0 for 1 with a fly out back in the first. Common set above the belt is Brown. Here's the 1-1. Changeup ruled a ball initially inside thigh high. It's being challenged here by Amaya. So the Cubs are using their first ABS challenge here. Let's see what the result is. And we wait. And the call is overturned. It goes from a ball to a strike. It is now, I believe, a 1-2 count. Here's the pitch. Check swing on the knuckle curve in the dirt. Did he go around? No, says Blue down the third baseline. Weatherholt was able to hold his swing there, and the count is even at 2-2. Now, I get the feeling that more people will begin to come in as the game gets later, especially if it remains tight. Coming sets Brown. Here's the 2-2. Just missed with a four-seam fastball on the outside corner thigh high. I think it was 96 or 97 miles per hour. And the count is full, 3-2 to J.J. Weatherall. On deck is Ivan Herrera. He's 0 for 1. Nobody on, nobody out. Bottom of the fourth inning, no score. Here's the pitch. Hit on up the middle and in for a base hit. So a leadoff single here by J.J. Weatherall, one of the leading candidates in the NL Rookie of the Year here through the first 2.5 months easily. Him and Sal Stewart of the Reds, who we got to see last weekend. For a rook, he's got great eye. Yeah, he really does. Like I've been saying, it's like he's been here for 2 or 3 years. I mean, he just fits. Now, here's Ivan Herrera. He's 0 for 1. Weatherholt leads off first. Here's the pitch. And it got a piece there of Herrera, but it also got part of his bat. Goes out towards first. Fielding it there is Brown. He throws to first in time for the first out of the inning. Weatherholt advances to second on the play. So it's basically the equivalent of a sacrifice bunt, all told, though that's definitely not what Herrera had in mind. It was up and in, a four-seamer, and it got both the very handle of his bat as well as it looks like his right index finger. Hopefully he's all right. Here's Alec Burleson with one out, runner at second. And here's the first pitch to Alec Burleson, just off the plate, knuckle curve. Count is 1-0. Alec Burleson, he's 0 for 1 with a flyout in the first. He's been slumping a bit lately, unfortunately. He's looking to turn it around. Weatherholt leads off second. Brown comes set above the belt. Here's the 1-0. Hit to the right side and through for a base hit. Fielding it is Suzuki. Coming home is Weatherholt. Here's the throw. Not in time. And the throw down to second. And Burleson is called out, but it's still a 1-0 lead here for the Cardinals off the bat of Alec Burleson here in the bottom of the fourth inning. So he tried to extend it into a double when Suzuki threw home on that. Amaya picked it up perfectly, put down an absolute BB down there to second base. Swanson pulled it in, put in the tag. Clearly out was Burleson. But all that being said, there are 2 outs here. Now here's the first pitch to Jordan Walker. That is a knuckle curve down and away for a ball. The count is 1-0. And it's still an RBI single. Thrown out, trying to take second. Jordan Walker, he's 0 for 1 with a pop out in the second. Nobody on, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Chop foul down the third base side and out of play on a sinker down and in, 97 miles per hour. The count's 1-1. So the Cards, they've taken a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Coming set above the belt is Brown. Here's the 1-1 to Walker. Low, ruled a ball, challenged by Amaya once again. They still have both of their ABS challenges due the Cubs. Let's see what happened. And it is indeed a strike, so the call ball is overturned. And it is now 1 ball and 2 strikes to Jordan Walker with nobody on here with 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth. 1-0 Cardinals. Both teams still have both of their ABS challenges in regulation. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Jordan Walker. I like aggressive base running by Cards. Dwayne Smith. Well, Dwayne Smith, good to see you, by the way. And I can agree with that on many occasions. Coming set is Brown. It's a 1-2 count to Jordan Walker. Here's the pitch. Down and away, in the dirt, a knuckle curve. Clearly out of the zone. The count's even at 2-2. When you have aggressive base running, so long as it's smart aggressive base running, it puts a lot of pressure on the opposing defense. And there's a lot to be said about that. Nobody on, 2 out, 2-2 count. Here's the pitch. Down and away for a ball, a sinker, 98 miles per hour, and the count is now full, 3-2 to Jordan Walker. Righty-righty matchup. Jesus Luna. These Cubs are useless. They thought the new manager would solve everything. They should start batting first. Here's a 3-2. Chop foul down the third base side and out of play. The count remains 3-2. That was a sinker down and into Jordan Walker. They should start batting first. Okay, Jesus. Nobody on, 2 out, full count to Jordan Walker. 1 already across for St. Louis here in the bottom of the 4th inning. They have a 1-0 lead here tonight. Common sense, Brown. Here's a 3-2. Just got a piece of that knuckle curve away and foul tipped it there. And it looks like it got Amaya on an unprotected part of his body. My guess is it's somewhere in the leg. Let us find out and see on the instant replay should they grace us with the opportunity. I'll get to that in a moment. We're standing by waiting to find out. The trainer for the Cubs is out there talking to Amaya, but Amaya's still in his crouch behind the plate. So we're going to see here if they can eventually get around to showing us an instant replay. You know, just do the fans a favor here and cover the action. I'm not a big fan of the Fox broadcast, in case you're wondering, especially after last week. They did a terrible job. Man, Cam Schlittler pitching to a 1.50 ERA, 10.1 strikeouts per 9. Man, he's nasty. Believe me, I wish I could import Cam Schlittler from the Yankees here to the Cardinals. He would solve a lot of problems all at once. Yeah, it does look like the knee. And it looks like play is about to resume. It's still a full count here to Jordan Walker. Nobody on, 2 out, bottom of the 4th inning. 1-0 Cardinals. Coming set is Brown. Here's the 3-2. Called strike 3, outside corner, about thigh high. Arguing with it is Walker, but he is not. Oh, he's challenging it. Okay, he's challenging it, folks. Let's wait and see. Called strike 3, so the Cardinals lose one of their 2 ABS challenges allotted in regulation. One run on, I think, 2 hits. Nobody left on. We head to the top of the 5th inning. It's 1-0 Cardinals down at Busch Stadium here on Saturday Night Redbirds baseball. I'm Paul D, and this is Bombers Game Mic. Have a seat, Jordan. Fox always seems biased against the Cardinals, but I'm probably just being a homer. I also don't really care for Chip either. Okay, here's something you got to keep in mind about national broadcast, guys, right? This has been my experience. And that is, one, everybody thinks that they are biased against their team. And the reason it comes off that way, it's nothing to do with us. It's because by design, since they're national guys, they have really just one important goal in calling the game, and that's keeping the audience there. So they're always going to try and pump up some narrative within the game or some sort of narrative that has an impact on the game that sometimes can appear in isolation, in a vacuum, like they're biased against one team or another. But a lot of times it simply has to do with the fact that their big job is keeping the viewers there. Something I've noticed over time. But no doubt, everybody experiences the same phenomenon. And I know this will not be a popular take in terms of national broadcasters, but Joe Buck doesn't hold a candle to his father. And boy, I do not miss Tim McCarver. And not even Tim McCarver as a national guy, because you have to remember for a lot of years, back in the 90s, early 2000s, early 90s, he was doing color commentary for the Mets. And then the latter half of the 90s and early 2000s, he was doing a lot of color commentary for the Yankees. So that is what it is. But there's your hot take for the evening. Here's the first pitch from Leahy to CPA. Curveball off the plate for a ball. Count is 1-0. Yeah, he knew his baseball. I just find him annoying. Foul down the third base side and out of play. The count is 1-1. Jack Buck was the king. I don't know about his son. Like I said, they just never did it for me. All right. My favorite current Yankees, by the way, are Jazz and Judge. What do you think of your other team? Here's the 1-1. Up and in, forcing fastball. Managed to check his swing there. The count is now 2-1. So, let's see here. Jazz Chisholm is a very exciting player. Here's the 2-1. Hit down the right field line, going back in front of the track, and it's over his head, and fielding the carom off the base of the wall is Jordan Walker. He throws on into the cutoff man, so a leadoff double here for Pete Crow Armstrong to lead off the top of the fifth inning. Mike Shannon is my guy. I love Mike Shannon. Well, and may he rest in peace. But I could never argue against Jack Buck. Well, nobody can argue against Jack Buck. I have nothing against Jack Buck. I'm just not a big fan of Joe Buck. Niceville, Florida in the house. Robert Weller, cheers. Thank you for joining us here tonight. And Aaron Judge is one of the defining talents of his generation. Come in set is Leahy. Here's the righty Nico Horner. Sweeper down and in for a ball. The count's 1-0. It's a 1-0 count. PCA leads off second. Now here's the 1-0. Upstairs, up and in, forcing fastball well out of the zone. The count's 2-0. Tim McCarver was a catcher when I was growing up. Yeah, he was the battery mate for Bob Gibson, as I recall. Jack Buck was Harry Carey's second announcer. Shannon was a third baseman. Well, I loved Mike Shannon in the booth because he was just one of a kind. And I've heard many calls of Jack Buck before. Here's the pitch. Curveball inside corner thigh high for a strike. The count is 2-1 to the righty Nico Horner. Not a big fan of Joe either. Joe better at football. Yeah, he is a lot better at football. Coming set at the Birds is Leahy. Here's the 2-1. Up and in, a sinker well out of the zone. The count's 3-1. I actually like Joe Buck with Troy Aikman. I actually think those two complement each other very well. Part of that has to do with my affection for Troy Aikman. Harry Carey was my man. Harry Carey was a legend in his own time. Here's the 3-1. Slider, outer third, thigh high, and the count is now full 3-2 to the righty Nico Horner. No, Harry Carey was amazing. I mean, obviously he put in time with both the Cardinals and the Cubs. Though oddly enough, the Cubs seem to have wrestled his legacy away from the Cardinals. But that's its own thing. Coming set is Leahy. Here's a 3-2. Hit to the right side, fielded by Weatherall on a hop. He throws to Burleson over at first for the first out of the inning. Moving over to third on the play is Pete Crow Armstrong. And that's the first out of the inning. Out of nowhere, I cried when he died. Harry Carey or Jack Buck, or both. I met Harry Carey and Steve Stone at a restaurant in Chicago with my parents when I was well, that's actually really interesting. Now, here's a lefty hitting first baseman, Michael Bush. Playing in is the infield defense, fouled down the third baseline now to play. The count is 0-1. So the infield defense for the Cardinals are playing at the very least even with the Bags. And PCA is 90 feet away from perhaps tying up this game for the Cubs. They want to be able to cut them down at home plate on a ground ball directly to one of them. Righty-lefty matchup. Here's the pitch. Fouled over to the Cubs on deck circle. The count's 0-2. No, I have I'm very tough on announcers in a lot of ways. There's quite a few that I have loved, and there are quite a few that I haven't. Probably quite a few that, just in being from Yankee land originally, that you might not be familiar with. Coming set at the Birds is Leahy. Here's the 0-2. Hit on right the middle and through for a base hit, and that'll tie the game at 1 on the RBI single there. So it is all knotted at 1 here in the top of the 5th inning. Saw a J. Buck Costas and Euchre call a doubleheader. That was a vintage broadcast. Bob Euchre is somebody who, here's the thing about broadcasters, the broadcasters that we all came to know and love and grow up with, is that many of us never got a chance to meet them personally, or if we did, not to really be able to get to know him. Going to the pen here is Ollie Marmol. So Leahy is out of the game here with the runner on first in the top of the 5th inning. So the runner on first is still Leahy's responsibility. Let's see who Ollie's going to. All right, he's going to the righty Fernandez, who's done okay. He gave up that big 3-run bomb up in Milwaukee earlier this week, but that's about the extent of it. For the most part, he's been all right. But in any case, so whether it's radio or television, the guys that we didn't know them. If we did meet them, we didn't get a chance to know them personally, but they were always in the soundtrack of our lives, especially in baseball, almost every day over the period of about 6 months, that when we eventually lose them, initially in retirement and when they pass away, and I experienced this most recently a few weeks ago with the death of John Sterling, is you do feel like you lost somebody of significance in your life, despite the fact that I never personally met or got to know John Sterling in any way. But I feel like something that was lost there, somebody of importance in my life. One moment. A light that was left on that was bothering me. And so when they do pass away, you really do feel like something of significance, a person of significance in your life has been lost. And in many meaningful ways, that is what happens. Yeah, they're going to very, very quick hook here by Ollie Marmol. Quick hook by Ollie Marmol. If the infield was back, they probably got Bush's hit. Yeah, but PCA still would have scored, unfortunately. So, you roll the dice. Anytime you bring the infield defense in, you always increase the likelihood that a ground ball will get through. But that's the nature of the gamble. Okay. Unless Leahy hurt himself. I didn't see any indication of that. Now, here's the first pitch for Fernandez. Strike, outside corner, four-seam fastball. The count's 0-1. Alex Bregman is up. He's 1 for 2 tonight. Runner leads off first. Coming set at the Birds is the righty Fernandez. Righty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Gets away and goes all the way to the backstop. Gets away from Jimmy Crooks. So the runner moves up to second on what appears to be, to me at least, a pass ball. I bought a transistor radio for money. I made picking strawberries for my grandpa in St. Louis County when I was 10. And I listened to the Cardinals 67 and 68 seasons in World Series. I mean, those are just the best memories of baseball. Here's the 1-1. Down and away, a ball on a slider, down and away. And the count's 2-1 Alex Bregman. 1 run, 78 pitches. Yeah, but they were a stressful 78. Coming set at the Birds is the righty Fernandez. Here's the 2-1. Just missed up and in, 95 mile per hour on the four-seamer. And the count is now 3 balls and 1 strike. Make sure we get that together. We'll probably see Stanek early. We shall see. Coming set Fernandez. Here's the 3-1. Ball 4 on the slider, down and away. So Alex Bregman will take first. Runners on first and second with one out here in the top of the 5th inning. And following that RBI single, the game is now all tied at 1. Cubs are still mad about Lou Brock trade. Well, they should be. I'll never understand that one fully. Now, here is the left-handed hitting left fielder Ian Happ. He's 1 for 2. Here's the first pitch. Swinging strike on the slider, down and away. Swung right over the top of Happ. That one did Happ. Count as 0-1. So if you're just joining me here, thank you all so much for spending part of your Saturday with me. Coming set is Fernandez at the Birds. Here's the 0-1. Slider strike, swung right over the top of that one, did Happ. And Fernandez is ahead in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. How about the trade of Steve Carlton to the Phillies? I have less of an opinion on that because I have less knowledge on that. Full transparency. 4 1/3 innings pitched for Leahy. Slider in the dirt away to the lefty hitting Happ. The count's 1-2. I did have a question earlier about what I think about the Yankees at the moment. I'll be happy to share that in the half inning. Coming set at the Birds is Fernandez. Here's the 1-2. Swinging strike 3. Down goes Happ for the second out of the inning. Really, Fernandez comes in here and manages to get Ian Happ to swing over the top of 3 sliders down and in, which is terribly impressive to say the least. The Yankees are extremely dangerous with that starting rotation. Runners on first and second, 2 out. Here's Suzuki. Up and away, 4-seam fastball for a ball. The count's 1-0. Saya Suzuki, the right fielder, he's 0 for 2. Strikeout and a fielder's choice. And Garrett Cole has come back fully healthy and fully prepared. Now here comes the 1-0 pitch. Slider down and away for a ball. The count is now 2-0. No, when it comes to the rehabilitation on the part of Garrett Cole since March of 2025, he has been very diligent following the medical science on it in regards to the UCL tear that he experienced. And he's come back very strong. Here's the 2-0. Strike, slider, outer third, knee high. The count's 2-1. Yeah, he does have a good break today. And now there is a visit on the pitching mound for Fernandez right in the middle of the 2-1 here. The pitching coach is having a quick word with him, old Dusty Blake. So we get to wait a little bit before we continue. But the Yankees' rotation is sick. I mean, it just is. And the offense is extremely potent. The only issue that they have is the bullpen, and specifically the back end of it, because David Bednar has been, I'm not even convinced he's fully healthy. Ballesteros is on deck after Suzuki here. Runners on first and second, 2 out. Top of the 5th inning. It is 2-1 count here to Suzuki. Runners lead off first and second. Coming set is Fernandez. Here's the 2-1. Fouled straight back on the 4-seam fastball on the outside corner, and the count is 2-2. I think pound per pound, if I could have one rotation in the league, it would be the Yankees. They've been waiting for one like that for quite some time. Coming set is Fernandez. Here's the 2-2. Slider down and away and in the dirt for a ball. The count is now full, 3-2 to Suzuki. Because their top 4, you have Cole, Rodon, Max Fried when he comes back and healthy, Cam Schlittler, and then Ryan Weathers and Will Warren battling it out for the 5 spot. Here's a 3-2. Foul back behind the plate, now to play on a slider on the outer third. The count remains 3-2. And, the battle between Will Warren and Ryan Weathers right now is intense. So the starting rotation in Yankee land, so long as it maintains its health, very formidable. Runners lead off first and second with 2 out. They're going to be heading right here on this one. The merry-go-round will begin. Here's a 3-2. Chop foul down the third base side and out of play. The count remains 3-2. Q-man. Up. That's meant for somebody else. Yeah, 5-man rotation is gold. Yeah, it definitely is. 16 pitches so far by Fernandez in relief here of Kyle Leahy. Once again, with a full count and 2 outs, the runners on first and second will be starting the Americano immediately. Here's the pitch. Foul back behind the plate and out of play. Four-seam fastball. 95 miles per hour on the outer third. We wait again. And full life 9. 160 people, 166 people. Let's get that like button, everybody. Thank you so much for pumping me up there. I really appreciate it. Coming set at the Birds is Fernandez. Here's the pitch. Hit to the right side, fielded wide by Burleson. Covering it first is Fernandez. They go to the first in time. Just beats the runner for the third and final out of the inning. So Fernandez comes in relief there of Leahy, inherits the jam, and manages to get out of it, and we head to the bottom of the 5th inning. All tied at 1. I'm Paul D, and this is Bombers Game Mike. So in the case of Leahy, he only went 4 1/3. So with a tie game, it's an invariable no decision for him, and that would make Fernandez now the pitcher of record for the moment, at least for the Cardinals. For $100K, that was damage control. Even the Cardinals GM said, no, don't do this trade. What can I say? Well, whatever the case may be, we're all tied at 1, going to the bottom of the 5th inning. This is a real shootout here. This is really looking to turn into something of a heavyweight battle. And the Cardinals and the Cubs, it's going to be an uphill climb for both of them. Excuse me, a little indigestion. Yeah, Leahy went long last start. Wonder if it affected him. It might. I think he went 5 last time, which was a week ago today in Game 1 of the doubleheader. Game 2 of the doubleheader. He gave up 5 earned through 5 innings pitched. But to sum up my feelings on the Yankees right now, so long as they are healthy, they are dangerous. But Brian Cashman's going to need to make some moves, in addition to perhaps bringing up one of their top pitching prospects, Carlos Lagrange, who throws consistently in the triple digits with a really good slider sweeper. They'd be moving him from a starter to a reliever in that case. But that's my state of the Yankees right now. Let's get back to the Cardinals. We need more walks if we can't hit. Well, Jeff King, in this Moneyball era, the full analytics, for many, one is as good as another for a lot of people. But just getting on base here goes a long way. Now, here is a left-handed hitting Nolan Gorman, I believe. Indeed, here's the pitch from Brown. Up and away, knuckle curve out of the zone. The count's 1-0. Weathers is starting tonight in Sacramento. Yeah, when he's on, he's like the little girl with the curl. He's either really good or really bad. Here's the 1-0 to Gorman. Chop foul down the first base side and out of play on a knuckle curve down and into the lefty Gorman. The count is 1-1. Summing up my feelings on the Yankees is, yay, they are not the Mets. I feel that one. Believe me. Here's the 1-1. Chop foul down the first baseline, out of play. The count's 1-2. Let's go Cards. Absolutely. And if you're just joining me here, it's the bottom of the 5th inning. Nobody on, nobody out. All tied at 1 at Busch Stadium tonight in this classic rivalry. Here's the pitch. Swinging, strike 3. Down goes Gorman, hacking for the first out of the inning. Let me take a look at Brown's line here so far tonight. He's been very good. 4 1/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run earned, no walks, 5 strikeouts. That's very impressive for a guy that's only been in the rotation for under a month. Now here's Mason Wynn. He's 0 for 1 with a ground out back in the second. Here's the pitch. Knuckle curve down and away for a ball, floated over the lefty batter's box, counts 1-0. Any Cub fan in Busch Stadium is too many. Here's the 1-0. Strike, sinker, right down Broadway, and the count's 1-1. Brown has been very solid so far. The Washington Nationals have the most runs in all of baseball, but barely have a winning record because they can't pitch. Here's the pitch. Sinker down and away for a ball. The count's 2-1. The whole run differential thing does matter over time, certainly. 1 out, nobody on. It's a 2-1 count to Mason Wynn. And here's the pitch. Knuckle curve up and away for a ball. The count is 3-1. How does Wynn have a 286 OPS? Really? He has a 625 OPS. Here's the pitch. Hit on out there into center field. Right underneath it is Armstrong. Crow Armstrong for the second out of the inning. Hyphenated names, folks. He should have lots of doubles. I'm not convinced he's fully healthy at the moment, to be honest with you. Mason can't even get a hit when he hits the ball solid. That's sometimes you just hitting a bad luck, unfortunately. Thanks for stepping up and sharing your experience calling the game. Well, you got it, Rick Mueller. You got it. Now, here's the lefty Crooks for his second at-bat. Here's the pitch. Four-seam fastball out and away for a ball. The count is 1-0. So, Jimmy Crooks here, second at-bat. Righty-lefty matchup with the righty throwing Brown on the mound. Lefty hitting Crooks. Let's see what the young man does with it. Here's the 1-0. Hit to the right side, fielded there on a pair of hops. Tossing to first there for Brown, covering in time for the third out of the inning. 1, 2, 3, go the Cardinals. We head to the top of the sixth inning, all tied at 1. I'm Paul D., and if you're just joining me here, and you haven't done so, and you enjoy the work I'm doing on the play-by-play, by all means, I would very much appreciate it if you left a like. Helps a growing channel out tremendously. And if you want to see more of it, by all means, subscribe. You'll have your opportunity, no doubt. And with that in mind, this is Bombers Game Night. I'm with you on Wynn, not being fully healthy. Cardinals are good/infamous at keeping that kind of thing silent, too. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Players also do a pretty good job of hiding any sort of outward appearance of it as well. As I recall, the late, great Jim Brown, football player, running back for the Cleveland Browns, would always get up slowly after every time he was tackled because he never wanted to give away to the opposition what his health status may or may not be. So he always made sure to get up slow in order to obfuscate whatever his physical health may have been at that point in that particular game. Okay. Well, this game, I will say, has been going very quickly so far. We're already in the top of the sixth inning. This game started 6:15 Central Time, and it's 7:48 Central Time right now. So they're cruising right along. I like Mason Wynn, hoping for a stellar season. I like him too. I like him a lot. I like his defense. I know he's better than how he's performed recently offensively. He can be a real weapon, and when he gets on, he can steal too. We've seen it happen. I do too. Has classy kid. Yeah, I think so. I mean, for the most part, this entire Cardinal team is actually pretty classy. There's nobody on here, even if you're an opposing fan, that you could ever take real issue with that I can think of. All right, Fernandez, he's out for his second inning of work. And here is Ballesteros, hit to the right side and stabbed on the line for the first out of the inning by J.J. Weatherholt. 1 pitch, 1 out by Fernandez. That was his 19th since entering the game in relief of Kyle Leahy. So a fine job stabbing that one. Did J.J. Weatherholt. I like how young the Cardinals are. Yeah, it makes them endearing. It makes them endearing. Now, here's the first pitch to the catcher, Amaya. Four-seam fastball in the dirt, down and in. The count is 1-0. Miguel Amaya, he's 0 for 1 with the hit by pitch back in the fourth. Nobody on, 1 out, top of the sixth inning. All tied at 1 from the full wind is Fernandez. Here's the 1-0. Strike, four-seam fastball, outer third thigh high. The count is 1-1. Ooh, that's interesting, Q-Man. I'm going to get to that in a moment. Coming Seth Fernandez. He deals. Slider in the dirt away, and the count's 2-1. When I was a vendor, 1982 Cubs fans were way more fun than Dodger fans. Up in the pen is Graceffo and Brule, I should say, righty and lefty, respectively. Here's the 2-1. Swinging strike on a four-seam fastball, down and in, swung over the top of that one, did Amaya. The count is 2-2. Way more fun than Dodger fans who are just rude. Saw them dump beer on rookie family members watching the first game. Oh, that's awful. That's beyond a lack of class. I mean, that's almost like a barbarian. Here's the 2-2. Hit up the middle, fielded there on a hop. Does Fernandez. He throws to first, and it gets away from Burleson. I think that one was actually on Burleson. The throw didn't look too bad, but Amaya, whatever the case may be, he reaches first. We're going to find out on the replay who was truly at fault there. So Fernandez, he throws to Burleson there at first, and it was a wide throw. No, that one was on Fernandez. I think you can honestly call that a throwing error, all told. Had he been able to plant and throw properly, he would have gotten Amaya by several steps. So runner on first on the throwing error there. You're right, he did everything he could there. It was a bad throw, and on replay I realized that. Yeah, it's anytime the pitcher fields a ball, especially relief pitchers, I always hold my breath. Candlestick had some bad rep to players disc talking, but I love Giant at Candlestick, my other team. Quick question, for those of you that remember, I think it was 1984, do you remember the short-lived mascot for the Giants, the Crazy Crab, by any chance? Now, here's Dansby Swanson. He's 0 for 2. Runner on first with 1 out there following the throwing error to first by Fernandez that allowed Amaya to reach. I think it was 1984, the Crazy Crab and the San Francisco Giants. Here's the first pitch. Cutter down and away for a ball. The count's 1-0. Yeah, from what I understand, Candlestick was a terrible place to see a baseball game. It was cold, it was big, and the Giants were often bad. Coming, Seth Fernandez. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike on the slider, down and away. Swung right over the top of that one, did Swanson. The count's 1-1. Here's Dansby. My mom couldn't think of a real name, Swanson. Lol, the Crazy Crab. Yeah, it's a real thing. It happened. Coming set is Fernandez. Here's the 1-1. Just off the outside corner for a ball. Four-seam fastball, mid-90s, counts 2-1. I really like the comment on the Dansby first name there. Well put. Runner on first with 1 out, top of the sixth inning. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Swanson. So we wait a little longer. All tied at 1. I remember Joe Montana's 84 49ers beating the Dolphins, but don't recall the Crab. Well, from what I understand, that's probably for the best. He got a lot of abuse. Here's a 2-1. Foul tipped on the slider, down and away. And the count is now 2-2. Abuse from fans. Abuse from the Giants players themselves. Was not a pretty story. That was a mascot who was roundly hated for some reason. Just a guy in a suit. I don't know why they had to mistreat him. Here's the 2-2. Slider down and away in the dirt. Blocked very well there by Jimmy Crooks to make sure it didn't go to the backstop. And the count is now full, 3-2 to Dansby Swanson, who's 0 for 2. He looked a little crossed up, but credit to him for blocking that thing because that could have very easily gone to the backstop. If I stayed for extra innings, you could get internal medal for your cap. Interesting. Here's the pitch. Foul back behind the plate, now to play. Four-seam fastball up and in. The count remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, 30 pitches. Runner leads off first. He's taking one for the team at the moment. That much is certain. He comes set at the Birds. Here's a 3-2. Ball 4 on the slider, down and away. And that'll put runners on first and second with one out here in the top of the 6th inning. So, still got the 2 arms up in the pen there for the Cardinals. And I wonder how much longer before Ollie Marmol chooses to go to one of them. Speak of the devil, here he comes. So we got ourselves a pitching change. Here on the top of the 6th inning, runners are still on first and second with 1 out. And coming up to the plate is Pete Crow Armstrong. But we have a little break here while the pitching change commences. Geez, not Armstrong again. He's an interesting player, but he seems kind of overrated to me. Psychic announcing. Well, that would be both a blessing and a curse. Clairvoyance is a rare and seldom bestowed gift. And most of the time, I'm quite pleased by that fact. I don't want to know what my mental health would be like if I had the ability to accurately forecast future events. Yeah, definitely, David Hodge. A double play ball here would be amazing. 100%. All right, he's going to the lefty Brule with the lefty Armstrong coming up, no doubt. I think that is the thinking there. And then you have Nico Horner, who's batting right-handed. But after that, of course, you got the lefty Bush. Bregman right-handed, Happ left. See if it gets that far. I agree, but I think he's been on base twice. I'm not saying he's had a bad day, but just in general, I feel like he is a little bit hyped up. And perhaps not entirely earned in that case. But that's just me. I mean, there's no question. They're trying to make him one of the faces of their franchise. I mean, I've seen quite a few kids walking around with, Crow Armstrong jerseys and jersey T-shirts in the last year or so. So no doubt he is a darling of the marketing department at the very least for the Cubs. So we're all tied at 1. We're waiting for Justin Brule to come in from the bullpen and take his warm-up tosses. When he does, he will inherit runners on first and second. Both of them will be the responsibility of Fernandez. And it'll be a lefty-lefty matchup with PCA at the plate. Part of the PCA hype is being in Chicago, big market. Yeah, you're totally right, Zodiac Sig. Completely correct. All right. Looks like Justin Brule is ready to get rocking and rolling. PCA is in the box. Runners on first and second with 1 out. Justin Brule, a 4.91 ERA, 25 and 2/3 innings pitched, 17 strikeouts against 13 walks. Here's the first pitch. Sinker down and in for a ball, 90 miles an hour. The count is 1-0. And PCA, as mentioned there, I believe, by Missouri Gaming, is 2 for 3 tonight. Brule comes set above the belt. Runners lead off first and second. Here's the 1-0. And it got a piece of PCA, and that'll load the bases with 1 out here in the top of the 6th inning. An inauspicious start to the relief appearance by Justin Brule here in the top of the 6th. Yep, the pond is full of ducks. No question about that one. This is a critical moment here. And up comes the second baseman, the right-handed hitting Nico Horner. And here's the first pitch. Strike, sweeper, outside corner at the knees. The count is 0-1. Career with the bases loaded. He's hitting .284 with one career grand slam. Thank you for that, Fox. So, a ground ball directly to one of the infielders. If it goes to the middle of the infielder, they'll try to turn two. Hit to the right side and in for a base hit. Fielding on a couple of hops is Jordan Walker. He throws on in. The throw is cut off, and that will give the Cubs a 2-1 lead here in the top of the sixth inning on the one-out RBI single by Nico Horner. And the bases are still loaded with one out. That run is recorded against the record of Fernandez. Indeed, the runner at third now is as well. Now here's the lefty hitting Michael Busch. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Michael Busch. A double play ball would do wonders here. Michael Busch's career with the bases loaded, .258 with one grand slam. 4 for 10 this year in this situation at that. Common set is Brule, lefty-lefty matchup. Here's the first pitch. Foul tip on the sinker away. The count is 0-1. Less and less people are trying to run on Walker. Probably a wise lesson. He has a very respectable arm. Bases loaded, one out. It's an 0-1 count, lefty-lefty matchup here against Michael Busch. Here's the pitch. Hit on out there to right field. Going out there underneath it is Jordan Walker. He makes the catch. Coming home is the runner from third, so it'll be a sac fly and an RBI, and the Cubs now have a 3-1 lead. And that puts runners on first and third with two outs here in the top of the sixth inning. Well, if the Cardinals are going to come back into this one, they got to stop this right here. And Ollie Marmol's going to the pen. So Brule is getting the hook. Certainly did not distinguish himself in this outing, unfortunately. Who's he going to? Gordon Graceffo coming into the game, the right-hander, who is in fact last night's winning pitcher. We got to find offense. 2 hits tonight. Yeah, well, I mean, Ben Brown has been really, really good. He's been very, very good in the strike zone. Not just throwing strikes, but throwing quality strikes at that. And he's been not easy to square up. I mean, he's not superhuman. And certainly the Cardinals can begin getting to him now, especially after a long inning. We'll see if he, in fact, starts the bottom of the sixth inning. I'm actually somewhat curious about that. Yeah, absolutely the Cardinals can come back. Dead on, David Hodge, dead on. So, we're awaiting Gordon Graceffo to come in out there from the pen, take his warm-up tosses. When he does, it'll be runners on first and third with 2 out. Very efficient pitch-wise also. Ben Brown? Yeah, I think so. I think last I checked he was still under 70 pitches. Let's take a look. Okay. Yeah, in fact, what I'm seeing here is correct, going into the bottom of the sixth inning, Ben Brown has thrown only 55 pitches, 38 of which have been strikes. Just a little below 60, I think it was 55. So economical in the extreme, to say the least. So right now, Gordon Graceffo is being called in here by Ollie Marmol. And here's the pitch. Strike, slider outside corner at the knees to the righty, Alex Bregman. The count is 0-1. This is quite the assignment for Gordon Graceffo, who has a 1.59 ERA through 28 1/3 innings pitched. 12 walks against 11 strikeouts. Here's the pitch. Strike, curveball, outer third thigh high. The count is now 0-2. So Gordon Graceffo is now 1 strike away from ending this top of the sixth inning. Challenging that one did Alex Bregman, and he loses the ABS challenge And so it is indeed an 0-2 count. The Cubs lose one of their 2 allotted ABS challenges here in regulation. Common set is Graceffo. He's ahead in the count, 0-2 on Bregman. Here's the pitch. Throwing down and actually holding and throwing bluff down there towards second. The runner actually steals second. It was a breaking ball down in a way that Crooks had to get on the backhand. The runner chose a very advantageous moment to go, and that puts runners on second and third. And it is a 1-2 count to Alex Bregman. It was called a ball. Once again, Jimmy Crooks managed to keep that thing from going to the backstop. Here's the 1-2. Just missed off the plate, ruled a ball. Challenged immediately there by Jimmy Crooks. They're going to use one of their remaining ABS challenges, are the Cardinals. Let's wait and see. Strike 3 called for the third and final out of the inning. But not before the Cubs put up 2 on the scoreboard. We head to the bottom of the 6th inning. It's 3-1 Northsiders out of Busch Stadium on the western banks of the mighty Mississippi. I'm Paul D. And if you're just joining me here, thank you so much for spending part of your Saturday night with me here on Game Mike. And if you like my call of the game, please leave a like. It helps a growing channel out more than you can know. And if you want to see more, by all means, please subscribe. It'd be great to have you aboard. Increase the slice of our pie of Cardinal Nation. We have a lot of fun here. And Lord knows, I'm right in front of that. It's amazing to be able to do this for you guys. But with that in mind, me here, you there, and this is Bombers Game Mike. It has been a good game. And the Cards are still very much in it. Geez, I remember when Mikolas had damn near 50 pitch innings. Yeah. It's amazing Crooks even caught that pitch. Yeah. Well, I would not call this, a showcase example of his, reported defensive prowess. You've definitely seen flashes of why the Cardinals feel so good about him behind the plate defensively. And who knows, maybe we'll see a flash of that power bat here at some point tonight. Lord knows the Redbirds need it right now. So we await the bottom of the 6th inning. It's 3-1 Northsiders. And let's see who's coming up here for the Cardinals. Brian Torres, followed by Vic Scott, and then back to the top of the order with J.J. Witherholt. J.J. himself is 1 for 2. Right now, it's definitely between him and Sal Stewart for NL Rookie of the Year, and I know who my vote's going to. I don't know why. He's just such a steady presence. He's great. Need that power bat with men on base in particular. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been one tight game. Ben Brown, he's out for his 6th inning of work. Here's the first pitch here to Torres. Called a strike, forcing fastball inside corner thigh high. The count is 0-1. Ben Brown, 5+ innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run earned, no walk, 5 strikeouts is the line so far here for the starter for the Northsiders tonight. Here's the 0-1. Knuckle curve up and away for a ball. The count is 1-1. It's a righty-lefty matchup with the righty throwing Brown against the lefty batting Torres. Torres is 0 for 1 tonight. 57 pitches so far for Brown. Here's the 1-1. Foul down the first base side and out of play on a knuckle curve. The count is 1-2. Brian Torres has had one heck of a full week in the major league so far. Done a very fine job filling in for Nate Church. Here's the 1-2. Just off the plate, a changeup away, and the count's 2-2. Definitely been slow going offensively here for most of the night for the Redbirds. Brown has been very good. Here's a 2-2. Foul down the third baseline and out of play on a sinker away, 96 miles per hour. And the count is now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Brian Torres is only 5'7", 165. Man, he squeezes all the talent out of that frame. Good for him. Here's the 2-2. Knuckle curve down and in the dirt, and that will bring the count full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. If there's one thing that Torres can do here that would be really helpful, it's walk. Looking in for the sign is Brown. He comes set. He always pitches from the stretch. Here's a 3-2. Hit on out there to center field. Going back is Pete Crow Armstrong. He's out in front of the track in center field. He makes the catch for the first out of the inning. Got just underneath that one, did Torres. Took it for a little bit of a ride, but to the deepest part of the ballpark without really getting the full barrel of the bat on the ball there. And that's the first out in the bottom of the 6th. 3-1 Cubs here on Saturday night. Now here is Vic Scott. He's 0 for 1, righty-lefty matchup. Here's the pitch. Strike, 4-seam fastball outside corner, knee high. Counts 0-1. Victor Scott's 0 for 1 and flew out in the 3rd. Right now, they need to make Brown work insofar as that's possible. Here's the pitch. Foul down the third baseline and out of play on a sinker on the outer third, knee high, and the count is now 0-2. Is Vic under some kind of mandate to not bunt or something? He hasn't tried one laying down in a while. Yeah, almost 2 games. I don't know what his conversation has been with Ollie Marmol. It does make me wonder. Here's the 0-2. Fouled straight back on a knuckle curve on the outer third. The count remains 0-2. As I've been joking a bit this week, you can flip a coin. It's almost a 50-50 proposition as to whether he's going to lay one down. J.J. Weatherholt, he's on deck. It's an 0-2 count to Vic Scott. Nobody on, 1 out. It's an 0-2 count. Here's the pitch. Knuckle curve down and in for a ball. Holding off on that one is Vic Scott. The count's 1-2. I can tell you this. The fact that Joshua Baez is now playing games in center field defensively at Triple-A is a message to Victor Scott to get the offense together if he can. Here's the 1-2. Change up away and off the plate. Ruled a ball. The count's 2-2. How healthy are the Cubs bullpen? That's a good question. I'll have to look that up. Coming set is Brown. Here's the 2-2. 4-seam fastball away. Called a ball just off the plate. And the count is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. I'm for him trying to go for a bunt if he's going to hit 178 when he doesn't. He tends to get hits when they count, I'll say that. Here's a 3-2. Ball 4, and it's challenged immediately there by Amaya. Going towards first is Vic Scott. I think it was a ball. And is indeed confirmed a ball. So they lose that ABS challenge, and Victor Scott takes first base with 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And he's doing the one thing that the Cardinals desperately need him to do, and every other member of this team at the moment in the lineup, and that's get more base runners. Now here comes J.J. Weatherholt. Here's the pitch. Strike, 4-seam fastball right down Broadway, 95 miles per hour. The count is 0-1. Good eye, Vic, indeed. J.J. is 1 for 2 with the single back in the 4th, and the single run scored for St. Louis. Cummins sets the righty Brown, righty-lefty matchup. Vic Scott leads off first. Here's the pitch. Foul down the third baseline and out of play. And now Weatherholt finds himself in the hole to Brown, no balls and 2 strikes. So he's going to have to find a way to battle it back here in this at-bat. Vic Scott, he leads off first. It's an 0-2 count. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Hit on up the middle and into center field for a base hit. Field on a couple of hops there is PCA, and that puts runners on first and second with 1 out. Following the single right there, the 1-out single by J.J. Weatherholt. And dare I say, the Cardinals might be in business. That was the 72nd pitch so far tonight by Ben Brown. And Amaya is out on the bump having a word with him. It was just a 4-seam fastball, it looked like, left up and away. And he just served it into center field. Beautiful left-handed stroke. And so far, he has thrown 17 pitches, which matches the most he's thrown in an inning back in the fourth. And presumably, he'll at least throw one more here. Now here's Ivan Herrera, 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a ground out tonight. They punch, we punch back. I surely hope so. Obviously, Herrera last night hit that big old bombola off of Imanaga. They're just showing the highlight of it here. So runners on first and second with one out in the bottom of the sixth inning. 3-1 Cubs down at Busch Stadium here on Saturday Night Redbird Baseball in North America and all over the world. Coming set is the righty-brown, righty-righty matchup. Here's the first pitch. Fouled right back off the handle behind home plate and out of play. The count is 0-1. And Brown seems frustrated with himself. That was not where he wanted to put it, even though the outcome was certainly favorable to him. Runners lead off first and second. The lefty Telbar is up in the pen. Here's the pitch. Sinker down away in the dirt. The count is 1-1 to Herrera. Got the bloop, now the blast. I'd buy that for $1. I'd buy that for $1. Counts 1-1, runners on first and second. Vic's got it second, J.J. Witherhold at first. Here's the 1-1. Hit down the third base side, fielded by Bregman. He steps on third one, on to first. A double play, a inning-ending double play by Ivan Herrera to end the threat in the bottom of the sixth inning. We head to the top of the seventh. It's 3-1 Cubs getting late down at Busch Stadium. I'm Paul D, and this is Bombers Game Mike. That was disheartening. That was disheartening. I mean, the play was very well turned by Bregman defensively, so, credit where credit is due. But it was a pitch in on the hands there, I believe, of Herrera. It got out to Bregman, I think, on a hop. He was able to go up a few steps, step on third for the force, plant himself, go across the diamond. He ended up getting Herrera easily and very clean. And we head to the top of the seventh inning. 3-1 Cubs out at Busch Stadium. So let's take a look here at the moment at that Chicago Rasta. Because you're asking about health. Okay. Well, from everything I can see, well, let's go to the 40-man real quick. That probably tells us more. All right. So Matthew Boyd is on the 15-day IL. Edward Cabrera is on the 15-day IL. Hunter Harvey, the 60-day. So the same with Hodge, Horton. Riley Martin on the 15-day shelf. Yeah, that's all the guys that are remotely relevant in there. So hopefully I answered your question. Okay. At the moment, Gordon Graceffo is still the pitcher of record for the Cardinals. And we'll see if Ollie Marmol sends him out there to start the top of the seventh inning. With recent call-ups, I do not see Newt coming till next week. He'll be here sometime, I think, this upcoming week. I mean, they need him. Well, interestingly enough, he is the most tenured Cardinal at this point. And had he been healthy over the offseason, Lord knows he would have gotten traded away like the rest of them. But he was hurt with the surgery on both of his heels. First pitch from Graceffo to Happ is a strike. The count is 0-1. Ian Happ, 1 for 3 with a single in the fourth inning. It's an 0-1 count, righty-lefty matchup. Graceffo comes from the full wind. Here's the 0-1. Hit to the right side, fielded there by Alec Burleson. Covering first is Graceffo. He takes the throw from Burleson for the first out of the inning. So a couple of pitches and a quick out there, and a very dangerous bat by Ian Happ retired there for the first out of the inning. I mean, obviously they don't need to rush Newt, but he's almost ready as far as I can tell and based on what I have read. All right, 1 out. Nobody on top of the 7th inning. Here is the right-handed hitting right fielder Suzuki. He hits it out to center field, going back in front of the wall, and he plays it off the bottom of the wall. Throwing in is Victor Scott, and in there with a sliding 1-out double is Suzuki. And now the Cubs have a runner on second with 1 out here in the top of the 7th inning. And looking on the replay on that one, it looked like a four-seam fastball middle. The Cardinals were very fortunate. He hit it just to the right of the 400 sign, sending it to the deepest part of the ballpark. Otherwise, it'd be a 4-1 game at the moment. Played very well on the carom, did Vic Scott. Okay, here's Ballesteros. He's 1 for 3. Runner on second with 1 out. Here's the pitch. Just missed on the four-seam fastball away. The count is 1-0. Moises Ballesteros, 1 for 3 with a single back in the 4th. He's hitting .234, 6 home runs, 20 RBIs on the year. Suzuki, he leads off second. Righty-lefty matchup against the lefty-hitting Ballesteros. Here's the 1-0. Hit on out there to left field. Going back a couple of steps is Torres. He's underneath in front of the track. He makes the catch. Bluffing towards third is Suzuki, but he heads back towards second, so that'll be the 2nd out of the inning. So a fine play there. Hauling that one in on the part of Brian Torres. And now Graceffo, he has to get the righty hitting catcher Miguel Amaya, who's 0 for 2. Hit by pitch, reached on an error, and a run scored. Cardinals need to get the bats back in their own hands. Here's the first pitch to Amaya. Foul tipped on the slider, down and away, and the count is 0-1 strike. Suzuki, he's still down there at second following that 1-out double off of Graceffo. He'll be going on contact with 2 out. Coming set at the Birds is Graceffo. Here's the 0-1. Just missed off the plate and high. Four-seam fastball, indigestion. And the count is 1-1. Graceffo, he looks in to Crooks for the sign. He comes set. Here's the 1-1. Chopped down the third base line and out of play, and the count is now 1-2 strikes. No doubt the Redbirds want the bats back in their hands as soon as possible. Their work is well cut out for them. Looking in for the sign is Graceffo. He comes set. Here's the 1-2. Hit on out there into shallow center field. Coming in is Victor Scott. He's underneath it. He makes the catch for the 3rd and final out of the inning. So the Cubs waste the 1-out double by Suzuki. And it is 7th inning stretch time down at Busch Stadium. We head to the bottom of the 7th inning. It's 3-1 Cubs in downtown St. Louis on Saturday night Redbird baseball all over the planet, not just North America. I'm Paul D, and if you're liking my call of the game, please leave a like. Really helps out this growing channel a lot. You guys have done so much to support me here so far and what we're doing, and I cannot thank you enough. And if you're new here and you're not subscribed and you want to see more, I'm calling every Redbirds game now, so you know where you can find it, right here on Game Mike on YouTube. You don't need 4 separate subscriptions to be able to follow the Redbirds. All you got to do is subscribe to Bombers Game Mike, and that's free. And with that in mind, this is Bombers Game Mike. Everybody has gotten so quiet in the chat. The Cards are hardly out of this. You guys haven't been this quiet in quite some time. I'm surprised. Well, that's okay. For the Cardinals, it has been something of a long week, to say the least. And now, since I'm calling every game of theirs, Hey, there's the Fire Phoenix. Thank you. Thank you for livening up the joint. It's been a long week for the Cardinals, to be fair. You know, that 3-game sweep up at Miller Park. No bueno. That was hard to watch, especially that third game and the no-hitter by Dustin May, get lost, and then losing it late. Last night was cathartic, to say the least. But I can say this, and that is, you know, the Cubs bullpen is not bulletproof. And the Cards very much have power in this lineup. It's been a long week, yeah, definitely. But I will say this upcoming week, even though they don't have to rush him back, you know, Newpar is going to be back. And that's going to go a long way to extending the lineup. All right, Ben Brown, he's out for his 7th inning of work. Here's the first pitch to Burleson. Hit on out there to center field, going back in front of the track, in front of the wall. He hauls it in, does PCA for the first out of the inning. Alec Burleson has been hitting into a fair amount of bad luck recently. I mean, he really put good wood on that thing. Shading him perfectly, in addition to tracking it with a good jump, was Pete Crow Armstrong. And that's the first out of the inning. So, 1 out, nobody on, bottom of the 7th inning. It's 3-1 Cubs. The Cards will walk this one off. I hope so. Here's the first pitch to Jordan Walker. Knuckle curve for a strike on the outside corner at the knees. The count is 0-1. Jordan Walker, he's 0 for 2 with a pop out and a strikeout. We need him to go into ninja mode. Here's the 0-1. Hit to the left side, fielded by Bregman on the hop. He throws to first in time to get Walker for the second out of the inning. So, 3 and 4 unfortunately go rather quick here in the 7th. Ben Brown has definitely been on his game tonight, which is very much in line with how well he's pitched so far since entering their rotation. Now here's Nolan Gorman, 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts, righty-lefty matchup. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike on a changeup down and into the lefty. The count is 0-1. So hopefully Alec Burleson can start putting it back together because they need him badly. Here's the 0-1. Changeup up and away for a ball. The count's 1-1. Nobody out. Rather, nobody on, 2 out, bottom of the 7th inning. It's the 3-1 Cubs. It's a 1-1 count to Nolan Gorman. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike right over the top of a changeup, down and in from Brown. And the count is now 1 ball and 2 strikes. My favorite Cards player on the current roster or of all time? I can answer both. I would have to say, let me think on that a moment. It's a 1-2 count to Nolan Gorman. And here's Brown's 1-2. Swinging strike 3 on a changeup, down and in for the third and final out of the inning. 1, 2, 3, go the Cardinals in the bottom of the 7th inning. It's the 3-1 Cubs going to the top of the 8th. I'm Paul D, and this is Bombers Game Mike. You can answer both. Okay. Ram Creations, 417. I don't recognize you. You must be. Are you new here? My favorite current player is Jordan Walker. That's a good choice. It's a good question. Honestly, I have to say it's probably Ivan Herrera at the moment in terms of the current roster. My favorite Cardinal that I actually saw play but is no longer playing is Adam Wainwright. And my numero uno all time is Bob Gibson. I'm a big pitching guy. My name's Russell. Russell, welcome to our slice of Cardinal Nation. You're absolutely welcome here. Thank you so much for making yourself known in the chat and throwing something out there. I like answering questions. It's fun because you guys generally ask good questions. Okay, Dwayne Smith, number 1, Lou Brock, number 2, Bob Gibson, number 3 is Ozzy, number 4, Orlando Cepeda. That's a name that I don't see nearly enough as Orlando Cepeda. Love to be with some St. Louis fans. Well, hey, we love to have you here. Welcome aboard, Russell. I look forward to seeing more of you in the future, by all means. We are taking on new converts all the time. So we await the top of the 8th inning. Let's see who's going to be the pitcher on record here for the Cardinals. Insofar as I can tell, Graceffo is still in this game, but we shall see. I have to get back from commercial break. No, Russell, we are very happy to have you. Thank you so much. What was my favorite era in history? Oh, well, you're looking at it behind me. It's so the World Wars, the Cold War specifically, no doubt. The interwar period's very interesting. All right. Now here's Swanson, the righty hitting shortstop for the Cubs leading off. Gordon Graceffo, he's out there for the 8th. Here's the first pitch of Swanson. Well upstairs, four-seam fastball, 97 miles an hour. The count's 1-0. 195 people. Let's go, Cards, and hit that like button, everybody. Thank you so much for pumping me up, my friend. Thank you, thank you. You and Ronald Lyle and Trisk. There's been others, too, but those are the first 3 that come up. Here's the 1-0. Chopped down the third base side and out of play. The count's 1-1. I subscribed. Thank you so much for joining our slice of Cardinal Nation. We have a lot of fun here most days. Dansby Swanson, he's 0 for 2. It's a 1-1 count. Gordon Graceffo comes to the full wind. Here's the 1-1. Strike called outside corner about thigh high. And the count is 1-2. It's a righty-righty matchup. But definitely, I mean, if I'm getting right down to brass tacks on answering your question there, it's the Second World War. And I have a deep interest in the Cold War, but very specific portions of both of those conflicts, to be certain. Coming from the full wind, here's the 1-2. Curveball down and away for a ball, and the count's even at 2-2. Orlando Cepeda, baby bull. Robert Wright in the chat. Nobody on, nobody out. 2-2 count here to Dansby Swanson. Graceffo comes wide, the 2-2. Swinging strike 3. Down hacking goes Swanson for the first out of the top of the 8th. I love World War II history a ton too. Well, Russell, you're talking to the right guy here, man. I can have a whole conversation on the Second World War that would last some time into next month. And I don't mean like a few days from now. I mean like July. Non-stop. Occasionally stop for food, occasionally for sleep, but then continue again. Here's PCA. Curveball down and away for a ball. The count's 1-0. Pete Crow Armstrong's 2 for 3 tonight. A single, a double, a hit by pitch, and a run scored. Every underdog won today, pretty much. That's something. Nobody on, 1 out. It's a 1-0 count to Pete Crow Armstrong. Here's the 1-0. Hit on out there to right field, going back, looking up, and that thing is long gone. A solo home run. Well deep into the right field stands. And the Cubs now have a 4-1 lead. That was a no-doubter. And boy, he's really livening it up going around the bases. You know, speaking of jackass celebrations, I don't know if everybody heard about Uribe. He got suspended for a game and fined for his little celebration earlier this week. You know, if Nolan Ryan had been pitching for this Cardinal team coming into the next day, one of their starting 9 in the lineup probably would have left on a stretcher had Nolan Ryan been on the mound. But baseball has certainly changed a lot. That pitch looked like a fastball down and in, and Pete Crow Armstrong just turned on that one and pulled it probably 420 feet, to say the least. That was a long home run. I hope the Redbirds win this one. I need to. Well, Meme Fox, I hope they win too. It was bound to happen with PCA. Yeah. Yeah. Justin Beasley is back. Welcome back, Justin Beasley. Welcome back. So, it is 4-1, and Ollie Marmol, of course, now is going to the pen. Let's see who he is summoning out of that Redbird bullpen. Pouchard is coming into the game. The right-hander, Matt Pouchard. So far in 2026 in 5 games, 5 1/3 innings pitched, an ERA of 5.06, 6 strikeouts over that 5 1/3, and a whip of 1.13. 28-year-old right-hander out of Bangor, Maine. Born on the 27th of October, 1997. So that would have been right around when the Marlins beat the Indians in Game 7 of the 97 World Series. Maine is a nice state. I could never imagine myself living there. There's too little going on, but it's a cool place to spend, a week. Not so much in the winter, that's brutal, but certainly in the summer it's very nice. Come on, guys. Stream is almost over, only 22 likes away. Justin Beasley, a friend of the channel. First pitch to Horner. Fouled it off his foot. Actually fell over on that thing. On the first pitch from Pouchard. The count is 0-1. Nobody on. 1 out. 4-1 Cubs following the solo blast there by Pete Crow Armstrong. Boy. You would have thought with all that celebration that he'd never hit a home run before. I had a Navy buddy from Maine. I didn't know you were in the Navy, Firefox. Tell me more. Here's the 0-1. Hit to the right side and in for a base hit. Fielding out a pair of hops in the corner is Jordan Walker. Stopping right there at first is Nico Horner. And that'll be a 1-out single for the righty hitting second baseman for the Northsiders. We got good news tonight. Paul's doing all the games. Dwayne Smith, yes, I am doing all the games. Wherever I may be is irrelevant. I will be here calling, whether it is on screen or audio only. Now, here's Michael Bush. He's hitting 1 for 3. Coming set is Pouchard. Here's the pitch. Up and away, a slider and out of the zone. The count is 1-0. Yeah, I have friends all over the world. I'm sure you do, because you've probably been all over the world. When did you serve, and in what capacity did you serve the United States Navy? Were you enlisted? Were you an officer? Here's the 1-0. Fly ball out to center field. Right there is Victor Scott moving only a couple of feet over to his right. He makes the catch for the second out of the inning. So you do every game, almost every game, within reason, really. But unless I actively call it out on stream, and I'll also usually put a broadcasting note and a community post on the channel. If I say I'm going to be here, I'll be here. And if I'm not saying I'm not going to be here, double negative, I'll be here. Here's a pitch. Sweeper strike, inside corner just below the belt to Alex Bregman, who's 1 for 3. Count is 0-1. Runner leads off first. Alex Bregman is at the dish. He's 1 for 3. It's an 0-1 count. Righty-righty matchup. Here's the 0-1 from Pouchard. Sweeper down and away for a ball. The count is 1-1. I figure I'll bet on every team that is negative 130 or more, and, well, they all lost. Amazing. It happens. Horner leads off first. Here's the pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball, outer third, knee high to the righty Bregman. The count is 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1996, I was damage control fireman. Nobody wants to hear my boring life. I want to hear about your life. On what kind of vessel did you serve? Surface warfare? Were you a submariner? The week in Milwaukee hurt. Yeah. Right here. And right here. No doubt. Coming set is Bouchard. He deals. Chop foul down the third base line and out of play on a sweeper down and away to Bregman. The count's still 1-2. Tell me, Q-Man, who do they get back in the Cepeda trade? Sounds pretty exciting to me. Yeah, you and me both. It was an aircraft carrier in San Diego. I have been to that base on a number of occasions, in fact. Coming set is Bouchard. Here's the 1-2. Fly ball out there to left center field. Going back in front of the track. Underneath it is Vic Scott. He calls for it. He makes the catch for the third and final out of the inning. So, after the long solo home run by Pete Crow Armstrong, it is now 4-1 Cubs going to the bottom of the eighth inning. The Cardinals got to get themselves some base runners, knock in some runs, keep them right here. And with that being said, I'm Paul D. If you're joining me for the first time, thank you so much for joining me here. And having a taste test of Bombers Game Mag. I'm Paul D. I'm your broadcaster. If you like what I'm doing, please do leave a like. Really does help this small, growing channel a lot. And thank you so much if you've done so already. And if you want to see more in the future, by all means, hit subscribe. If you're a Cardinal fan and during this bizarre 2026 broadcast situation, you know you can find the game here the vast, vast majority of the time. And I'd like to thank you all so much for joining me here tonight. I can't tell you how much I look forward to calling these games every single day with you, getting to know you a little bit better, more so over time. Like, for example, I didn't know the Fire Phoenix had served in the United States Navy. A firefighter on a U.S. aircraft carrier based out of San Diego. I think that's really cool. And that's just kind of the reality of our slice of Cardinal Nation. So by all means, converts welcome. And with that in mind, this is Bombers Game Mic. Okay. So which aircraft carrier was it, out of curiosity? Hey, Paul D. How do one gain your talent? Is it natural or did you learn it? Well, you're being very generous, but I do appreciate it, my friend. If you're asking how I learned how to do play-by-play, I'll give you the quick lowdown. So, I've been really big on radio play-by-play throughout, my teenage years and adult life. We're about to start the bottom of the eighth inning. So I always paid very close attention and always tried to listen to the greats of the game call it. I remember I got XM back in 2005, which allowed me to do that for the first time. Got it as a Christmas present. Now, here's Jacob Webb, the right-hander, coming in relief of Brown. 1-1 with a 2.66 ERA, 23rd and 2 innings pitched. Here's the first pitch. Strike, fastball outside corner to Mason Wynn, who's 0 for 2. The count is 0-1. And so I've been studying them for years, of course. Coming set is Webb. Here's the 0-1. Chop foul down the third base side and out of play, and the count is now 0-2. A lot of it's John Sterling, the late play-by-play radio guy for the Yankees, who did it for like the better part of 4 decades. But I would also tune in for a number of guys. Here's the pitch. Sweeper down and away for a ball. A sweep up. And the count's 1-2. But like Vin Scully's a great example of that, especially when I finally got MLB.TV. I could really keep up with all these guys. Ernie Harwell late in his career. Four-seam fastball up and in for a ball. The count's now even at 2-2. Howie Rose, the radio guy for the Mets, is also really good. A number of guys like this. Mike Shannon. I love Mike Shannon. I miss him. Here's the pitch. Changeup down and away out of the zone, and the count is now full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. So I always paid a lot of attention to them. That, and I've done a lot of public speaking in my life and career, in addition to the fact that I've been helming a podcast for quite some time. And here's the pitch. Ball 4. So Mason Wynn draws a leadoff walk here in the bottom of the 8th inning. That is exactly what the Cardinals need right this second. Ben Brown's final line: 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run earned, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. The Cardinals are very pleased to have him out of the game. He only threw 82 pitches. So I had all of that. Now here's the first pitch to Gorman. Hits it on out there. To Crooks. Out there in front of the track and left. He hauls it in, going into second. Tagging up there on the fly ball out to left field is Mason Wynn. So Jimmy Crooks gets the sac fly on that. And that's the first out here in the bottom of the 8th. And then in late July of last year, I was in London with my wife. We were having part of our trip was a holiday with a friend there that's a co-host of the podcast I do, the 80 History podcast, which I might elaborate on at some point when we have some free time. Now here's the lefty Brian Torres is over 2. Here's the pitch. Changeup down and in for a ball. Counts 1-0. So Mason Wynn is down at second with 1 out. He's in scoring position. It's a righty-lefty matchup with the lefty hitting Brian Torres at the dish. Coming set is Webb. Here's the 1-0. Strike, changeup, right down Broadway. Taken all the way is Torres. The count's 1-1. And then I was up late. I was playing MLB The Show. Yeah, I did bring my PS4 with me. I've just gotten in the habit of it. Here's the pitch. Four-seam fastball. Swung on in, missed for a strike. Swung right underneath that one. A four-seam fastball inside just below the belt. And the count is now 1 ball and 2 strikes. And I was watching the Yankee game, more like listening to it as I played. And I was aware that there were some people doing this on YouTube. Runner leads off second. It's a 1-2 count. Coming set is Webb. Here's the 1-2. Fouled straight back on the four-seam fastball right down Broadway, 95 miles per hour. So we'll do 1-2 again. And I had that in mind, and it just struck me like, I can do that. I knew I couldn't just start right away. I had to really do it right and start at the beginning of spring training of the following year. I thought I was going to do it for Yankee games initially. Here's the 1-2. Hit to the right side. Fielded there by Bush. He tosses to Webb, covering in time for the second out of the inning. Moving from second to third is Mason Wynn. So Wynn will be down at third with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And I started by just calling. Now here's Victor Scott. He's 0 for 1 with a walk back in the 6th. It's a righty-lefty matchup. And so I just started by calling games, recording them myself. Here's the pitch. Strike, curveball, outside corner thigh high to the lefty Vic Scott. And the count is 0-1. Let me update that score bug so it reflects the 2 outs in the inning. The infield defense is definitely shaded well towards right. Here's the pitch. Changeup down and in for a ball. The count is 1-1. So I was just recording it initially audio only into Logic. Then I added OBS with the camera into it. Then I started doing Yankee games for real, starting with the second game of the season. And then you know the story from there. Changeup down and in for a ball, well out of the zone to the lefty Scott. The count's now 2-1. So it's really a combination of just listening to a lot of baseball, paying close attention to the play-by-play guys, and a copious amount of public speaking throughout my life and career. Here's the 2-1. Hit down the right field line, and it slices foul, and that brings the count even to 2-2. Watching young Cardinals players grow like that in person is something to behold. Yeah, it really is. It's actually a real pleasure to see a really talented young player begin to blossom and come into their own and really begin to make a big mark on the game and their team. Here's the 2-2. Foul down the third baseline, out of play on the four-seam fastball, up and away. And the count remains 2-2. Will Alex Bregman bat again? That's a good question. I'd say it is not terribly likely, but not impossible. Here's a 2-2. Just a ball, a changeup, just off the plate from Webb, and that brings the count full to Vic Scott. On deck is J.J. Witherholt. He's 2 for 3 tonight. He had Brown's number all night. Here's the 3-2. Swinging strike 3. Down goes Vic Scott for the third and final out of the inning. So they waste the opportunity there, unfortunately. And we head to the top of the 9th inning. It is 4-1 Cubs down at Busch Stadium here on Saturday Night Redbird Baseball in North America and across the globe. I'm Paul D, and this is Bombers Game Mike. But that's really how to best answer your question, my retired friend in Uganda. Yanks have bigger bank. Cardinals got more baseball heart and soul. Dodgers and Yankees more of a financial thing sometimes, no matter how winning. I actually have to very much disagree with you on that. If you look at the Yankees farm system right now, they have a lot of very, very good players. In fact, really over the last decade plus, even though they don't have a World Series trophy to show for it, they have gotten a lot better at scouting and investing in their minor league players and development system. And when you look at the Yankees, for example, the dynasty of the 90s and 2000s, the core of that were all homegrown Yankees. Yeah, they got big trades. Yeah, they did sign free agents. Derek Jeter, homegrown. Jorge Posada, homegrown. Mariano Rivera, homegrown. Jorge Posada, homegrown. Core 4. You don't win anything without all of them. So I'm going to have to disagree with you respectfully there. And now, the biggest and most important player on the Yankees and one of the generational talents we're dealing with, Aaron Judge, they didn't sign him as a free agent. Well, they re-signed him when he hit free agency. But they drafted him in the first round. He came up through the Yankee system, and now he holds the single-season AL home run record, in addition to 3 MVPs. So that's something to keep in mind here. And, of course, look at Cam Schlittler right now. That guy has got himself some serious gas and being a really great player. I mean, you just go around, you can take a look. Like Ben Rice down at first base, he could very easily be starting the All-Star game for the American League. Homegrown Yankee. Second base, Jazz Chisholm, of course, they acquired via trade. Anthony Volpe, shortstop, homegrown Yankee. We'll get back to the rest of that in a bit, but I have to absolutely disagree with you there. Now, here's the first pitch. Off the plate for a ball, and the count's 1-0. Ian Happ is at the plate. It's a 1-0 count. Pritchard out for his second frame. He hits it out there to right field and into the corner for a base hit. Rounding first is Happ, and he goes into second with a leadoff stand-up double here in the top of the 9th for the Cubs. No, I'm glad you caught me up to the current status. I was speaking, I guess, historically. Yeah, the Yankees are a strange thing historically in terms of player development prior to the institution of a formal draft in Major League Baseball. So they had a lot of money, and they could go out and just get the best players that were really young. There was no draft. It was just, here's some cash, kid. You want to come play for the Bombers kind of thing. You stick them down in the minor leagues. But one thing you can always say about the Cardinals is they invented the farm system. Here's the first pitch to Suzuki. Strike, inside corner below the belt. Seiya Suzuki, the right fielder, he's 1 for 4 tonight. He doubled back in the 7th. Runner leads off second following that leadoff double. Coming set is Pritchard. Here's the 0-1. Off the plate, a slider for a ball. The count is 1-1. So like with Lou Gehrig, they didn't have to draft him. They just showed him the money and he joined up, and that happened a lot until the draft. And then, of course, the draft really forces a lot more competition in terms of player development and things like that. Here's the 1-1. Hit to the left side, fielded deep in the hole. It is booted by Gorman, and it goes into foul territory out there in left field. And so moving up from second to third is Happ, and that'll put runners on first and third with nobody out here in the top of the 9th inning. That was a very bad defensive play there by Nolan Gorman. That was a play he absolutely should have made. It went right underneath his glove. He was fielding it towards his bare hand side, towards the line. And Nolan Gorman out there at third base has been anything but for a sure thing. No, but the one thing that the Cardinals have consistently done well for a long time is smart player development. They draft well, smart free agent signings, and key trades. Here's the pitch. Strike, slider, inside corner at the knees to Ballesteros, who's 1 for 4 tonight. And the count is 0-1. Can it create, or Angels just made up for the Cards failing me? Woo! Good to go. Here's the pitch. Change up down and in. And the count is 1-1. So runners on first and third. Nobody out here in the top of the 9th inning. Bouchard has one job. It's to keep Chicago right here. Here's the pitch. Hit on up the middle, fielded by Bouchard. Throws down to first in time. Picked it in the dirt on the hop. Did Alec Burleson for the first out of the inning. The runner will move up from first to second. The runner at third will remain right there. And so it's now runners on second and third with one out in the top of the 9th inning. Injured starters: Justin Steele, elbow; Cade Horton, elbow; Matthew Boyd, knee; Edward Cabrera, finger. The foremost 2 on the 60-day, the last 2 on the 15-day. Here's the first pitch to Amaya. Four-seam fastball. And the count is 1 ball and no strikes. Offensively and defensively, he's been bad tonight. Yeah, he has been. And it's shown, and the results of that are clear, unfortunately. Let's not let this game out of hand. Yeah, absolutely. If the Cards have any chance of getting back into this one tonight, it's, they just have to leave it right here. Okay, it looks like they put the runner on there, so they loaded up the bases with the intentional walk. That creates the force at home and the possibility of a double play. Now here is Dansby Swanson, who's 0 for 3 tonight. Upstairs, and it's a wild pitch. Coming home is the runner. He will score. The other 2 runners move up 90 feet, and that'll make it a 5-1 Chicago lead. And naturally, on the wild pitch there, it's a 1-0 count. That one, I'm going to look on the highlights here, but let's see. That was all Bouchard. That was not Jimmy Crooks. That thing was well up and in, just flying away. Bouchard had no idea where it was going. Now runners are on second and third with one out. It's a 1-0 count to Dansby Swanson. Here's the pitch. Slider down and away for a ball. The count is 2-0. Walked in the 6th and a run scored. Stop the bleeding, birdies. You better believe it, my friend. You better believe it. Coming set above the belt is Bouchard. Here's the 2-0. Slider down and away, floats over the lefty batter's box, and the count is now 3 balls and no strikes to Swanson. 8 likes away. Thank you so much, Justin Beasley, and everybody who does pump up my broadcast here. It means a lot. It really does. I'm very lucky. Coming set is Bouchard. Here's a 3-0. Ball 4 on the four-seam fastball away. And so once again, the bases are loaded. And here comes PCA. We know what he did in his last at-bat. Probably one of the longest solo home runs to right center field you'll see at Busch Stadium. Okay, I won my Atlanta Braves bet at minus 253. So there is hope. Glad to see you recovering there, friend. And unfortunately, at the moment, under the situation, the Redbird fans are filing out, and it's thinning out to Cubs fans. A little too many for a home game down here, as far as I'm concerned. Conventional wisdom is we can't compete with our money, so we're going to even things up by playing smart and investing in our future and farm system. Asymmetric battle. That's actually, I really like the term there. Point of St. Louis pride. It should be. Because you think of pretty much all the great players of the last generation that have worn Cards uniforms have come up through their system. Now the bases are loaded here in the top of the ninth with one out. Here's Pete Crow Armstrong. 5-1 Chicago. Here's the pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball, outer third below the belt. And the count is 0-1 from Bouchard. Alex probably won't bat again. I don't know about that. He's not that far. He's only a couple batters away. Coming set is Bouchard. Here's the 0-1. Strike, curveball, outside corner about thigh high. PCA having a word with the home plate umpire. Can't challenge it, though. And the count is no balls and 2 strikes. Though had he probably would have had a case. But they're out of ABS challenges, and the Cardinals have one left remaining themselves. Here's the 0-2. Slider down and in for a ball. The count is 1-2. Now, if you're the Cardinals, both of the previous generation, the current one, and anything going forward, a lot of the answers are going to have to come from within. But Chaim Bloom has shown himself adept so far. I'm willing to listen more, certainly. Coming set is Bouchard. Here's the 1-2. Hit on out there to center field. Charging in is Vic Scott. He plays it on a hop. Coming home is the runner. And I think that is at least one more for the Cubs. And they now take a 6-1 lead. And the bases are still loaded with only one out, following the RBI single there by Pete Crow Armstrong. St. Louis is the best baseball town in Major League Baseball. They're definitely one of them. I mean, the fact that St. Louis is such a good sports town overall, a baseball town first, and as high quality a one as it is, very much was part of my reasoning in eventually deciding to move here. It was no coincidence. Now, here is Nico Horner, who's 2 for 5, 2 singles so far. He's had a busy night. Bases loaded, one out, top of the ninth inning, 6-1 Cubs. Late at Busch Stadium. Here's the pitch. Slider down and away for a ball. The count's 1-0. No, believe me, the fact that this place is as good a sports town as it is, baseball first, known for having some of the best fans in all of sport, very much factored in my decision. Here's the 1-0. Hit up the middle, fielded behind second. Mason Wynn picks up. He tosses. He gets to second, one on to first. A double play. A strange double play. So it was initially attempted to be fielded on the ground by Weatherholt behind second. It deflected to Mason Wynn, who just happened to be in the perfect place to grab it himself off the deflection. Stepped on second, one, threw a perfect strike to Alec Burleson at first base to get the runner and finally end the inning. However, it's now 6-1 Cubs going to the bottom of the ninth inning. Unfortunately, the Cubs right now are in the catbird seat. And no doubt, the Cardinal offense has their work cut out for them if they want to remain in this game. But with that in mind, I'm Paul D., and this is Bombers Game Night, Mike. So, programming note. Tomorrow night's game is the national game of the week on Sunday night. It's on both NBC and Peacock. So NBC, if you have TV, get it, well, proverbial over the air, or you're a cord cutter and you need Peacock. Tomorrow night's first pitch is scheduled for 6:20 p.m. Central Time. I will be live here on Game Mike anywhere between 6:05 and 6:15. Hopefully it'll go better than it started tonight. I can tell you that much, to be sure. In terms of the technological flub, I still have no idea what happened there. I haven't felt right since it happened, honestly, to be perfectly blunt with you. Luckily, able to regain the composure and the setting and the stream and the call. Unfortunately for the Cardinals, this has not been one that's been very pretty here late. But I will be here tomorrow for the 6:20 p.m. Central Time scheduled first pitch between the Cubs and the Cardinals, which would appear to be, unless the Cardinals come back here, the rubber match of this 3-game set. So feel free, come on back tomorrow night for the big old rubber match. And the projected starters in that game is Wicks for the Cubs and Liberatore for the Redbirds. And now here's Daniel Palencia, the right-hander, in 12 games has a 1-0 record, a 2.53 ERA through 10 and 2/3 innings pitched. And he is on to close out the Redbirds here in the bottom of the 9th. Yeah, that actually is, Dwayne Smith, that is very bright news at the moment, no doubt. Here's J.J. Wetherell. He's 2 for 3 tonight. Here's the first pitch. Hit out there to left field and into left center field for a base hit. So a single out there served into left center field on the first pitch away to J.J. Wetherell. He's now 3 for 5 tonight. He's been all world this evening, no doubt. And a runner on first with nobody out. I'm faithful, Paul D. I'll be here with you. I'll be here with you too, my friend. Now here's Ivan Herrera. It's a righty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Pop foul behind the plate and out of play, and a four-seam fastball down Broadway at 100 miles per hour. The count is 0-1. Guys, we are 5 likes away from 100. Please just take a moment and give the stream a like. I'm sure it will inspire the Cardinals to come back. Cheers. Here's the 0-1. Swinging strike on a slider down and away to the righty Herrera. It's a righty-righty matchup. And the count is now no balls and 2 strikes. So one way or another, I'll be back here tomorrow night for the 6:20 p.m. Central Time start. Ivan Herrera, he's 0 for 3. Weatherholt, he leads off first with nobody out. Holding is Palencia. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Herrera. Palencia was taken too long. Just a grand slam and a few hits away. Yes. Rally, 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 the Fire Phoenix. Our resident Navy veteran. Yeah, got to keep the faith, Paul D. Can't count us out to the last out. You got that right. Now, here's the 0-2. Slider in the dirt, down and in for a ball. The count is now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Absolutely. If you are here, you're joining me late, please do leave a like. I appreciate it immensely, and it really helps out the channel a lot. Common set is Palencia. It's a 1-2 count. Runner leads off first. Here's the 1-2. Inside, four-seam fastball, 102 miles per hour. That evens out the count at 2-2. I remember when triple digits, and low triple digits at that, were an eye-popping thing. Here comes Craig Counsell doing the quick walk out there. He wants to have a quick talk there with Palencia, probably to make sure he's okay. You know, the fast walk out. Yeah, there's the trainer. Let's see what happened here. Let's see if we can see it. Man, Brewers fans really do have a chip on their shoulder against Craig Counsell at the moment. Holy crap. Just something I've been noticing all week. A lot of animosity. He landed a little weird. Looks like he went and grabbed his right glute max on that. Runner on first. It's a 2-2 count to Ivan Herrera. Nobody out. Bottom of the 9th inning. 6-1 Cubs. Ivan Herrera is at the plate. Palencia comes set. He deals. Chop foul down to third base. Throws to second one. On to first. Safe. He beats the relay at first. So Herrera reaches first there on the fielder's choice. Of course, J.J. Wetherholt, he's erased, and the force at second on the play. Bregman has a lot of range down there at third. See, as a Yankee fan, something that I can't help but keep looking at Alex Bregman is a Red Sox in a Cubs uniform, a.k.a. seeing red. Now, here's Alec Burleson. He's 1 for 3. Righty-lefty matchup. Herrera leads off first. Here's the pitch. Just off the plate, a slider away. The count's 1-0. Come on, guys. One more. Let's go. Justin Beasley. I'm going to have to send you a T-shirt or something. This channel is getting to the point where we're going to need to start making T-shirts. I'm down for that. Here's the 1-0. Swinging strike on a slider down and away. 92 miles per hour. The count's 1-1. Oh, don't pick on yourself like that, meme fox. You're not bad luck. Common set is Palencia. He deals. Strike, slider, inner third at the knees, and the count is now 1 ball and 2 strikes. The runner is still at first with 1 out. Yeah, game over with hoping Alex bat again. It seems unlikely, I will admit. Counsell going to the Cubs was the best thing to happen in Milwaukee. And no arguing with that at the moment. Here's the 1-2. Hit to the right side and through for a base hit. Fielding it out there and right is Suzuki, going all the way to third on the play, sliding in. And he is punched out on the throw from the right fielder there, trying to extend his run from second to third, and that is the second out of the inning. Oh, that is so demoralizing. I thought he was going to be safe by a mile. However, Suzuki put an excellent throw out there from right field, right towards third. Bregman was just waiting there. He gets it on the fly, tags Herrera on his left thigh, and I'm looking at this thing here. It gets there on a hop. Bregman's perfectly well placed. Puts down the tag on Herrera for the second out of the inning. Yeah, it's not great, but you got to respect the professionalism of the craft. Here's the first pitch. Slider away for a ball to Walker, who's 0 for 3. Pop out, strikeout, and ground out. Counts 1-0. Load those bases, I wish. Common set is Palencia. Time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Maya behind the plate. Back in the box is Walker. It's a 1-0 count. He deals. Hit down the first base side and behind the dugout. Specifically the Cardinal dugout, and the count's 1-1. Twice aggressive base running wipeouts tonight, right? Still, when it works, it's my favorite Cards offensive attack. It's very exciting, admittedly. Get the frig off your back, bro. What? Okay. Here's the 1-1. Hit on out there into left center field, and it is caught on a sliding catch by PCA for the third and final out of the inning. So 6-1 Cubs is your final out of Busch Stadium tonight. Just a very fine start there by Ben Brown. And the Cardinal bullpen, after Kyle Leahy's shaky start, couldn't get the job done. And that will do it. So, 6-1 Cubs is your final. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It has been a long, long week for the Redbirds. But they come back tomorrow night for the rubber match in this 3-game set. And I will be here for that. It is scheduled first pitch for 6:20 p.m. Central Time. It's a combination broadcast between NBC and Peacock, which are both NBC productions. But you get the idea. I'll be calling the whole thing. I'll be live here for that between 6:10 and 6:15. You'll see the broadcasting note there sometime in the early afternoon in terms of the deets on that. But I'd like to thank you all again so much for joining me here tonight and spending part of your Saturday night here with me on Bombers Game Mike. I wish I had better news to deliver, but unfortunately, I do not. Well, thank you all so much tonight for joining me. Justin Beasley, a good night to you. The Firefox, a friend of the channel always. My friend retired in Uganda, Thank you so much for the kind words, and I hope you have a very fine morning in your case. I know it's probably around, 5:15 in the morning for you. Thanks for the call, Paul. See you tomorrow. Hey, Delta Leader, you have a great YouTube name, great YouTube username. Thank you so much for chiming in. I will see you all tomorrow, and specifically tomorrow night, Sunday Night Baseball, the game of the week. First pitch to last out right here on Bombers Game Mic. Be well, Fire Phoenix. I hope you sleep well. I hope things are treating you well there up in the Pacific Northwest. I'm Paul D., and this has been a presentation of Bombers Game Mic. Thank you all so much for joining me here. Q-Man, it's never a stream without you. I'll see you all tomorrow night. Bombers Game Mic over and out. 6-1. Cubs is your final. Thank you. Good night. Wherever you may be, I will see you tomorrow. And be well.